And for the final time in 2022, the Windy City Thunderbolts and the Evansville Otters do battle here in a regular season contest. And to be fair with you, Windy City has had the number of Evansville in this last week. Good evening to you and welcome inside beautiful, historic Bosse Field. I'm Matthew Will, walking you through each and every pitch of this evening's ball game. The Otters got a 7-1 win last week at Windy City to open that series. They then lost their next 5 games on the road last week, came home, lost the opening game to Windy City, and really the Otters needed to step back and take a look at things and kind of reset. Last night they start off the game, an error in the first inning, ends up giving up 4 runs, and for a long time in last night, Evansville trailed 4-0. Then in the bottom of the 5th inning, the Otters finally, for the first time in what felt like almost a month, broke through with a big singular inning. They end up scoring 6 runs in that bottom of the 5th, and those 2 half innings were all that mattered last night. Evansville got themselves that 6-4 win. Logan Sawyer grabbed his 19th save of the season, and finally that 6-game losing streak for Evansville came to a close, and Otters started to turn a new page in this season. An important game tonight as the Otters are looking to not only win the series against Windy City, but also set themselves up for success in what is going to be a tough weekend on the road at Washington. Of course, we'll talk more about that game later in tonight's contest as we move closer and closer to it. Windy City enters the game with a 30-49 record, sitting in 8th in this Frontier League West Division. Evansville at 42-37, 3rd in the West Division. We'll look through the rest of the Frontier League standings as we enter tonight's game. There's a couple of these that are changing on the fly, so bear with me as there's 2 separate editions of double headers tonight throughout the Frontier League, so there are going to be a couple of things that are changing around. But as the day started, we saw a jumble of teams in the East Division. New York and Tri-City hopped over Sussex County, and things are getting really tight there in the middle parts of the East Division. They are all fighting for that 3rd playoff spot right now. Over here in the West Division, Washington's still holding on to about a 10-game lead on Schaumburg. Schaumburg's up 1 game on Evansville, who's 1 game up on Joliet, who's 1 game up on Lake Erie, and then gets a little bit bigger as you go down, but it is looking like the West Division is going to be a 4-team, maybe if Gateway can get a couple of important wins against Windy City this weekend, maybe a 5-team fight for the bottom 2 playoff spots in this West Division. It does look like Washington's starting to run away. Depending on how the series against Evansville goes this week, they could be talking about not only a magic number to clinch themselves a playoff spot, but potentially clinch themselves the top team in this West Division. We'll keep talking more and more about some of the individual standing things to keep an eye on tonight as we move through tonight's ball game. I want to start looking through what you can expect tonight on the 2 sides. Evansville going with a similar looking lineup to the last few nights. Miles Gordon going to be the leadoff man once again. He'll play center field. Bryn Rosario will stay up top there in the 2-hole. He'll be the designated hitter tonight and likely will bat lefty against the right-handed pitcher Jack Alkire. We'll see later on. Bierman up in the 3-hole playing first base. Jeffrey Baez batting 4th playing left field. Elijah McNamee right smack in the middle of the 9 playing right field. Tanner Craig returns to the lineup playing 3rd base. Brody Tanksley stays behind the plate, making a 6th straight start for Evansville. George Khalil will man short, Andy Armstrong man second, and Justin Watland is the one up on the bump for Evansville tonight. As for Windy City, Brian Klein, who is the new addition to the lineup just on Monday, will remain at the top of the order for him before the switch-hitting Bryn Martinez and the designated hitter Brent Spillane. Robinson, Robertson, and Isaacson are the 3 who man the middle 3, playing left field, center field, and first base before the catcher Matt Morgan returns to the lineup. The shortstop Cole Kaler and Jalen Greer will head back into the infield after playing the last couple of games out in left. They are getting ready to head up to talk with the home plate umpire about lineups and exchange roster cards, and we are just a few minutes away from first pitch here from beautiful Bosse Field. We'll take a break. On the other side, I sit down with the CEO of United Way of Southwest Indiana to get her thoughts on 100 years for United Way and some of the activities and events they have coming up here in Southwest Indiana. Just a few minutes away from first pitch for a beautiful night of baseball between the Windy City Thunderbolts and Evansville Otters. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is next. An absolute beautiful crowd on hand, a perfect night for baseball. And it is time for first pitch here from sunny Evansville, Indiana, and historic Bosse Field. Before we go any further, we want to remind you that Evansville Otters baseball here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Working Distributors Evansville. To the mound we go to introduce you to tonight's starter. Justin Watland returns to the mound for Evansville, looking to keep hold of what's been a solid season for him so far here in 2022. He's been one of the Evansville starters that's found a little bit more consistency as we've gone through the years, and that's been something I think that others have been kind of desperate to find in their rotation. He enters today's game with a 4-4 record, 4.02 ERA for Watland. More on him as we go through the game. Here's the 9 men he'll face for Windy City. Brian Klein kicks things off, playing third base. Bryn Martinez and Brent Martinez are the three in that opening three that we'll at least see in this inning. Then the middle three of the Suns, Dan Robinson, Peyton Robertson, and Peyton Isaacson. And those middle three, Matt Morgan, Cole Kaler, and Jalen Greer, make up the final three of this starting 9 for Windy City. Watland's going to be up on the mound, and Brody Tanksley returns to the man behind home plate for Evansville. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. You can call 812-475-9000. Final warm-up pitch has been tossed, and we are ready to kick things off here in the first inning. It was the first of last night that Windy City found their way onto the scoreboard. What was supposed to be out number 3, J.R. Davis buffed a ball at third, and because of it, the man reached, a run scored, and one play later, 3 runs came home on a 3-run home run. First pitch here to Klein is sent out towards right. And McNamee will bring it in for out number 1. So Brian Klein unable to get himself on to begin this ball game. And with it, we head to the switch hitting right fielder, Bryn Martinez. Bryn Martinez was in the 2 spot last night. Started his game with a double, picked up 2 more base hits in the game. We'll start off with ball 1 to kick off this outing. Martinez, also a versatile guy, can play almost anywhere you need him, is a very good shortstop, but has also filled in the outfield this week as well. Fouls off a pitch towards the netting, and with it, our count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Watland kicks and delivers on the 1-1 to Martinez. Called strike, nearly right down the middle. Great pitch there. A 1-2 home is sent weakly towards the left side. Want to take a look at the defensive alignment for Evansville tonight. Out in left, we're going to see Jeffrey Baez. In center, Miles Gordon. And in right is Elijah McNamee across the infield. Tanner Craig at third. Khalil at short. Armstrong at second. Bierman at first, as Bierman makes a play on his own. It grounded over towards him, and he just stepped on first himself for out number 2. So to the 3-hole spot we go, and designated hitter Brent Martinez. The prior 2 nights he was batting in the 5 spot. On the first night of this series, had a 2-run double and a 2-run home run. He accounted for just about all of the offense in that one. But he's moved up into the top 3 of this ball game. Pitch comes home low for ball 1. Ball is sent high and deep out towards left. Baez will take about 5 or 6 steps backwards, call off Miles Gordon, and bring it in for out number 3. Good start for Justin Watland. 3 up, 3 down, and with it, we head to the bottom half of the first. No score from historic Bosse Field. ready for the bottom half of the first inning here. Jack Alkire will get the start for this Windy City squad, formerly of the Ottawa Titans, and now looking to help Windy City grab a second series win in as many weeks against this Evansville squad. The Otters did not see him last week. He enters this game with an 0-2 record for Windy City in his 4 starts thus far. 4.81 is ERA. He is just under 1 strikeout per inning. It is Alkire on the mound. And Morgan behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call, 812-475-9000. Here's the men that Evansville will bring to the plate in the half inning. The Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game. Miles Gordon, he'll play center field. Brian Rosario, Zach Bierman will be the other 2 here in the first inning. And then it's a whole bunch of lefties after that. Baez, McNamee, and Craig in the middle 3. Tanksley, Khalil, and Armstrong round out this lineup. Taking a couple extra seconds to set up as they were having Alkire remove the wristband it looked like he had on right next to his glove. But regardless, we are ready to go now. Miles Gordon steps in, ready for his first at-bat in this one. In yesterday's game as the leadoff man, Gordon had himself a leadoff single, stole second, but then was stranded out there. First pitch here stays just a bit too high for ball 1. Defense is playing in on the left side of the infield, much deeper on the right side. 1-0 home to Gordon. Is sent foul off to the left side. Will bounce back in towards the field of play, and it'll take a second to grab that one. One ball, 1 strike for Miles Gordon. Pitch comes home from Alkire, low and inside. Ends up bouncing almost all the way back out to Alkire. And the count's at 2-1 for Miles Gordon. I can't really put my finger on it, but Alkire has something strange in his delivery. It looks a little bit interesting. I don't know if it's the fact that he is a little bit shorter, as he's only 5'11" compared to a lot of the rest of this pitching staff on Windy City's squad that stands over 6 foot. But the release points and the motion just looks a little interesting. Almost looks like there's a small break on that he almost hit the pause button for a half second on his way towards home. Ready for the 3-1 though, as Alkire will fire that way. It's lifted high and foul to the right side. The catcher Morgan's underneath it. Near the Otters dugout is where he'll bring it in for the first out of the inning. So the DH, Brian Rosario, will now stride his way to the plate.
Batting second, designated hitter, 13, Bryn Rosario.
Rosario's had himself a couple of solid games. In the loss on Tuesday night, he had 3 hits as the leadoff man. Rosario, as expected, is batting lefty to battle against the righty Alkire. First pitch homes in there for a called strike 1. A 1 count to Rosario. He swings and misses at a strike 2 on the outside edge. Immediately it's a quick 0-2 count for him. 0-2 on the way outside, and Rosario will get himself his first ball of the at-bat. 1-2 now. Sends one out towards center. Working back towards it is Robertson, and he's able to make the catch in the sun for out number 2.
Batting third, first baseman.
So far in this one, we've seen 5 batters come to the plate, and all 5 have sat down in order on either side of this ball game. Ready for the first pitch home from Jack Alkire here to Zach Bierman. And it's low and outside, ball 1 in the count. The 1-0 is swung on and missed. And with it, our count will even up. Big time game for Bierman to find his way back into the hit column of things. It's not that he's been on any sort of slump, it's that his hits have come at inopportune times for Evansville. It comes with nobody on or with 2 outs, and then he gets left on and stuff like that. Love to see him find a couple of RBI hits or home runs even to start to work himself back into a big part of this offense like he has been for so long this year. After a foul off, he's back in the count 1-2. Pitch stays low, and with it, our count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, all with 2 outs. A 2-2 pitch to the first baseman, Bierman. Swinging strike 3 on a low inside pitch. And it's a strikeout that ends the first inning. We've played through 1 full. We are still scoreless here from Evansville. Top of the second inning here from historic Bosse Field. Still scoreless, still hitless through the first inning. Take another look through the Frontier League standings. Washington still leading the way by a whole bunch here in the West Division. Schaumburg sits in second, and then it's 1 game back to Evansville, 1 game back to Joliet, another game back to Lake Erie. Gateway and Florence are sitting a few extra back, but there's certainly an opportunity for Gateway to get back in the conversation. Really looks like we have about a 5-way battle for the last 2 spots in the West Division playoffs. Quebec still leading the way in the East. Ottawa's just a few behind them, and then it's a melee for the 3rd spot. Tri-City, New York, Sussex County, even Trois-Rivières, New Jersey still have a chance over there. The only team officially eliminated from contention, Empire State. Getting set here for the second inning. Justin Watland getting set to throw home to Dan Robinson, the 4-hole hitter. This pitch comes home low for ball 1. It's at this point, so we're able to welcome onto the broadcast Austin Gossman. It's good to have you on here. So, this team's been hit by a couple difficulties in the starting pitching rotation. Of course, Tim Holgrafer gets his contract purchased. That's a great thing for the team. It was tough on you guys. But then Parker Brahms there in the middle of July out of nowhere gets picked up, and it made you guys all have to stand up a little bit more and take a bigger role in the team. You went down to a 4-man rotation for a while. How did that affect the way you prepared for games, having an extra day in between?
Really, the process didn't really change too much. Obviously, we were excited to see that they got the opportunities to go play affiliated baseball, and that was awesome. But, really, we're just kind of attacking each day, doing our own thing. We all have our own routines. We all kind of stick to it. That's just pretty much how you got to handle it.
No way around it. Last week at Windy City was the one time this year you've really gotten banged up in a game. It's just because they put it all on you in 1 inning. What changed in the week from that game to the one against Windy City a couple days ago that helped you reset?
There was a couple mechanical things, maybe like a good cue that we did, or that we tried in the bullpen, me and Max, and a lot of it really just came down to the mentality. Pitching on turf is not the same thing as pitching on dirt. My intent level was not great. I didn't have a whole lot of feel, and really it was just about saying, hey, I've been really good all year. One inning doesn't define the whole season, so let's just go out there, let's attack, let's have a lot of confidence, and let's just see what happens.
Otters get themselves a couple of hard-earned outs. Gordon runs down a ball in center field, and then Khalil's able to snag one on a line. Quickly, there's 2 outs here in the second inning. Justin Watland gets a man to lift one up towards Tanner Craig at third. He'll plant himself underneath, and the ball slips out of the glove at the last second. And an error there will allow a man to get on. Otters thought they had got themselves out of the inning there. You were up here for last night's game, and that was one that felt strange. Felt like the Otters, okay, they're going to get out of this inning. You see the ball go down the third baseline, goes off the glove of Sinsley, and then directly after, O'Reilly gives up the 3-run home run. As a pitcher, what goes through the mind in that situation when you thought you had the third out and now you're down 4-0?
Really, it's never a good feeling. I mean, obviously, if an error happens, you understand that it's part of the game. I had my own start. I threw a ball, pick off that went pretty much to the right field. So it's understandable that things happen, and it's really unfortunate when the other team gets an extra at bat or an extra pitch to really capitalize on the mistake, and it happens to hurt you like that. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is that it's the first inning. Should have gotten out of it. They're not really earned, so it's just about getting back to business and then just keeping the team where in the game, keep the score where it's at, and just letting everything play out.
That was certainly the nice point for last night, as it statistically didn't go against Ryan O'Reilly. All shot out towards right field. McNamee back towards the warning track and makes an impressive catch on the backtrack. Otters are able to get a couple of pretty simple outs, and the error by Craig will not come back to haunt Evansville. We've played 1.5, still scoreless here from Bosse Field. Into the bottom of the second inning here in Evansville will bring Jeffrey Baez, Elijah McNamee, and Tanner Craig to the plate. And similar to these last few nights, a unproductive first inning and a chance for the middle of the lineup to find their way into the hit and hopefully run columns as well. We're still joined here by starting pitcher Austin Gossman. Something we haven't got to talk to you on the air yet about is, of course, your alma mater, USI, moving to the Division I level. Got to be exciting for your old coach and some of the people you've got to be around there at USI now, getting to play now at Division I levels.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for for Coach Archuleta. Obviously, with the success that he's had at the Division II level, he's deserved to have that, that Division I coaching job. That's awesome. And, just being a guy that played there and then had a year to also go back and volunteer coach, have that opportunity to see both sides of it, to be able to really see that the school make the big jump from D2 to D1. It's exciting to see what they're going to do. I'm more of a fan of being a big fish in a little pond, or at least a good-sized fish in an average pond. It's never a good thing to be a small fish in a big pond. And I think that's something that they're going to have to deal with in transition. And it's going to really it's going to be hard to recruit a lot of kids saying, hey, it's Division I, can't win any championships for the next 4 or 5 years. So I think they're going to have their hands full, and it's going to be a process. But I think that over time, as long as they keep doing what they're doing and coaching as they're coaching, I think they're going to have a lot of success later down the line.
Foul out there from Baez will start off the inning, and that's one of the nice things about moving into a conference like the OVC. There's not really teams that stand out in any real sports. I mean, you had Murray State and Belmont, who excelled in a lot of different sports, but it kind of seems like the Screaming Eagles could jump in there and compete. And if Archuleta can convince a couple guys that, hey, right now we can't compete nationally, but we can compete in this conference, it seems like a winning strategy he could have.
No, exactly. I mean, you saw what Bellarmine did with their basketball program. They transitioned out of Division II, out of the GLVC actually, and moved into, I forget which Division I conference they're in, but they won the tournament. And of course, since they were still on probation, they couldn't go on. But it just shows that you can build from nothing, or at least build from what you have into a successful program in a relatively short amount of time, as long as you can build the right culture, bring in the right guys, and can really develop your players. And I really think that, like you said, the OVC, it's not the SEC, it's not the Big Ten. It's a solid conference that they can really build themselves up in and have success with.
Elijah McNamee at the plate now, looking at a 1-1 count, make it 2-1 after the inside ball. And I think it says also a lot about Coach Archuleta and the company he has within his coaching staff and the history the team has. Jacob Bowles, your teammate, a USI man, Bryce Studeville, who was on the team for a while as well. What does it say about not just Archuleta, but the baseball program as a whole, that they're getting guys picked up by the professional team in town?
I think it means that it really means a lot. I mean, obviously, a lot of people nowadays, they focus on minor league baseball, as we call it, affiliated baseball. And I know, at least for me, when I came in, I was hoping to get drafted, just like every other kid. But I never understood how talented the independent level really is. And I didn't really get to understand that until I stepped into the clubhouse my very first day. And I got to see, everybody that was in here, the level that they played, how talented they were. And so it really just says that even though there may not be a lot of guys getting drafted, it doesn't mean there's not talent there. And I know there's plenty of guys there that have plenty of talent that can get the job done and compete. It's just, how willing are they?
No two ways about it. Last year ended rough for you. The last 9 results you got were losses. And, obviously, I think I remember talking to you a little bit at the beginning of the season about how to kind of just ignore some of that and move on to this year. But, I mean, of course, we still have a couple weeks left to play, but it's been a pretty solid year for you. How are you feeling going into the last few weeks of the season?
I mean, obviously there's been, like you said, there's been a little bit of a hiccup, trying to figure out some things mechanically. But, I mean, we're moving into the end of the season. It's exciting. This is the time you want to play for. I think I can speak for a lot of people. When you're grinding in the off season, you're lifting weights, you're throwing baseballs as far as you can, as hard as you can, trying to train. It's exciting the first couple games when you get the butterflies, but really when you're down the stretch, you're competing for a postseason spot or at least a ring. That's when it really matters, and that's when it gets fun.
The backs are kind of starting to get towards the wall. A tough little stretch of baseball for Evansville, and now they're in a spot where they've certainly got to win a couple of important games. It's got this feeling that Evansville's got to find a way to win 1 or 2 at Washington this weekend.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is when we came out of the first series, I thought that we competed really well. We came really close to winning the whole thing. But, I mean, like you said, we have 6 more games against them, and we also have Joliet, I think, again. So, we're going up against some good talent, and it really shows, hey, if we can have success and we can do our jobs and take it 1 game at a time, that'll set us up pretty well.
Otters unable to do anything here in the bottom of the second through 2. Still scoreless here from Evansville. Don't go anywhere. 3rd inning coming at you next. we've played through 2 innings, and both squads are still trying to figure things out offensively. Justin Watland getting his final warm-up pitch in, and we're ready for the third for Windy City. It'll be 8-9-1, 2 up. Cole Kaler, Jalen Greer, and Brian Klein. As we went to break, we were starting to mention a couple things about this upcoming series against Washington. Of course, first, Evansville's got to get through tonight's game against Windy City. But there's probably no lie that in the clubhouse, you're thinking a little bit extra about this weekend and how important those 3 against a big team like Washington is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, every game at this point of the season is a big game. You want to go out there and you want to put up good at-bats, make quality pitches, do your job. But when you're going up against a team that's number 1 in your division and has the best record in the league, it obviously puts a little bit of a target on their back, at least, that, hey, we have to roll into their house, and we got to do it twice. And we have to handle our business, because if we don't, it's going to put us in a bad spot. And I honestly believe that everyone in this clubhouse thinks that we can. Like I said, we played them first series that we played them right before All-Star break. Very competitive series. Could have gone either way. Possibly could have taken at least 2, if not 3 from them. So I really think that if we play to the best of our ability and at least play as capable as we are, I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think it went a long way winning the game against Watland in that series.
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
was projected to go zooming through that game, and I think it was the 4th or 5th inning that Evansville really hopped on him and got him to have to leave things a little bit early. And yeah, you're right, those last 2 really felt like they could have gone either way. It looks like Washington's roster has been hit a little bit by that COVID bug that had just gone through Gateway last week too, so we're not going to see the full Washington squad this week. And then of course there's the conversation, if they have themselves in the top spot in 2 weeks when we go back there, we might not see the whole squad, as they might start to be running through the routine resting, getting set for the playoffs. It's got to feel like these 3 are the ones that, if we're going to do it and going to make sure that we're staying above Joliet, it's going to be now.
Yeah, but like I said, it's whether it's Washington, whether it's even Joliet itself, or even the Empire State Grays. No matter what team we're playing, it's at this point in the year, every game really matters. But yeah, definitely when you're going in, especially on a tough road series like that, it's really important.
Inning's going to kick off with a German-American Bank strikeout, the first of the day for Justin Watland. We'll bring up the 9-hole hitter, Jalen Greer. Greer in last night's game, 0 for 2, did manage a walk in the 2nd inning. Now, one of the things I wanted to hear from a couple of you starting pitchers is what it's like to take the mound with these 4 individuals behind you, whether it's Craig or Davis at third, whether it's Sinsley or Bierman at first. These are some of the best defensive infielders that this league has, especially with those middle 2 of Armstrong and Khalil. Does it give extra confidence when you know those 4 behind you?
Absolutely. Obviously, in certain counts, especially for me, I'm not a strikeout guy this year. I'm trying to shoot for contact, shoot for ball in play. And it's absolutely incredible what those 2 guys up the middle have done for me in the past, especially like the Schaumburg game. I went 9 innings because I was able to get ground balls. But even then, I can get ground balls all I want. But they're the 2 out there that are turning the double plays, getting it done day in and day out. Obviously, George, one of the cleanest, smoothest defenders I've ever seen at shortstop in my life. Armstrong over at second. Made some exceptional plays, both for me and some of my teammates. And like you said, it just instills a lot of confidence in what we're doing.
Yeah, that stretch of baseball you're talking about, they turned 4 double plays in that game that you went 9 against Schaumburg. And in that 3-game stretch, they pulled 10 off. I mean, it's fantastic to watch. I'm sure that the 2 of them are going to be high on the priority list for McCauley and this group to try to bring back next year. And Justin Watland carving through the order right now. Back-to-back strikeouts and then a unassisted play by Bierman at first. We're heading to the bottom of the 3rd. Things are still pretty elementary here from Bosse Field. Don't go anywhere. 3rd inning coming at you next. Well, we're through 2.5 innings, and Evansville Windy City still scoreless, still hitless. And as we head to the bottom of the third for Evansville, it'll be the bottom three of Brody Tanksley, George Khalil, and Andy Armstrong. Brody Tanksley has been quite a bit of fun to watch here in these last 10 games since he hopped back into the order. He started 5 straight games and in them has 6 hits, batting .375 in those 5 games. Has an RBI as well. 3 of his 5 games have been multi-hit outings, and it's been nice to have Tanksley finding a role in this lineup as well. A called strike will kick off his count for him. This has seemed to be the issue for Evansville offensively. They're able to get men on, not yet tonight, but in these last couple weeks, get men on, and then it seems that they've left a lot of guys on more than the rest of the season. Another 12 left on a couple of nights ago. What are the talks, if you hear any, from the hitting coach Bobby Siegel with some of the guys about where you can improve as a team in bringing guys around?
I mean, as far as like what we can do as a team, a lot of that stuff kind of happens just in the locker room, and a lot of it's just mentality stuff. Like, hey, you know, we're not having a whole lot of fun right now. What can we do to have more fun? Let's try to get to a place where mentally we're there. We have a lot of energy. Let's back each other up. Let's trust each other. That if one guy can't pull through, then the next guy up will. As far as like meetings though, pitchers usually we go out there for our daily work. We talk with Max. Max tells us some stuff, whether, you know, if it's a good game or bad game, he lists off some things. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. And then with Bobby and the hitters, I mean, obviously, there we go. We'll take that.
Week 1 through the middle is going to result in a base hit for Tanksley, and Otters will get the first hit of the game.
But as far as the hitters meetings go, I try to stay out of there. I got my mind full of pitching stuff already. I don't need to know what's going on with the hitters.
Well, and obviously last night does a lot for this squad. I mean, I was on the bus with you guys coming home from Joliet. That was one of the toughest ones all year. I mean, there were low spirits. This team knew they were capable of more. What was it like, not only last night, but also today, the spirits around this clubhouse? What all did that win do for this squad?
You know, obviously, I'm not going to say that it completely rejuvenated us, because I think there was always energy there. I think we've always trusted ourselves and we've always had confidence. But I think it really just kind of showed, like, hey, you know, just because your back's up against the wall and some bad stuff kind of happens early, it doesn't mean that you can't come out of it. You can't come back.
George Khalil trying to lay down a bunt, and it looks like it hit him in the hands. That's what he's saying happened, and the umpires are going to meet to discuss if it's a hit by pitch or not. Plays like that seem like they are when the bat immediately drops out of the hands. But during BP today, I had a chance to talk with both Miles Gordon and Elijah McNamee. They both thought, you know, they had a feeling last night that after that, when it feels like, okay, this one's going to jumpstart this team and kind of activate this new gear that has kind of been lacking in these past couple games. Because there's no lie, when you have these 5-2 or 5-1 losses, when you have 10 hits, something just feels wrong with the way things are going.
Yeah, it just seems like for a lot of games, it felt like if one side of the play was going really well, the other one was kind of lacking. If we were pitching well, we couldn't really find a way to score runs. If we pitched terrible, then all of a sudden we were manufacturing some stuff, and that's just part of it. That's just part of a long season. You go through stretches like that. But I mean, like you said though, having a day like that where you're down 4-0 in the first and being able to come back and score 6 in 1 inning, put up quality at bats, I think that was a huge stepping stone. Honestly, I do agree with them. I think that's almost, that's the ignition we need.
Well, they're going to call a strike on George Khalil. Andy McCauley didn't love it. George Khalil didn't love it. It kind of looked like they were saying that it hit a little bit of bat, so it's a foul ball. Regardless, a man stays on first. There's still no outs, and George Khalil is still at the plate. Alkire will fire home. This time George is swinging, and the count goes down to 0-2. And then there's a couple of guys in this bullpen. Now, of course, the entire bullpen has found games that have just been wonderful, and then every guy's, of course, had the nights that have struggled. I want to know what you guys think of the way Jake Polancic's been in his last 12. I broke things down yesterday. In his last 12 appearances, he only has 1 hit against, 26 strikeouts, and 4 walks. And it seemed to be almost unnoticed as it came out of nowhere from him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Jake is that it's always been there. I think with him, he had one bump in the road, I think, against Florence, and I remember being in the dugout for it. And, obviously that week was one of those weeks too. But I think the big thing with Jake that impressed me the most, it's not necessarily the stuff, but it's also just the mentality. Just going, kind of talking a little something here on my start. Obviously, I had that one inning where it just seemed like I couldn't find a way to finish it, get out of it, gave up 3 runs, came in the dugout, and of course, I'm a little bit heated. I'm asking myself, like, okay, like, when are you going to figure out how to close out an inning, keep yourself out of a crooked number, stuff like that? And, Jake kind of talked to me. He's like, hey, man, like, I understand, like, beginning of the year, you were really good at controlling what you could control. Right now, you're kind of spiraling. You're kind of, don't lose confidence, man. Like, stay in it, stay mentally in it. Like, you're better than these guys. You got to believe that, and just go out there and pitch like it. And obviously, like, the rest of the game threw up zeros, and we were able to, I was able to keep them in the game, keep things going. But just talking about Jake there for a second is that it's impressive when a guy can go and have an outing, say like he did with Florence, which it happens to everybody. It happened to me. But to be able to rebound mentally and then just be able to trust your stuff and just come in every single day and work hard and just refine yourself to be able to go out there and just be that guy, it's really impressive.
Armstrong will foul one in towards the netting and back towards the Otters dugout. This is such an interesting league because unlike the other independent leagues, this one has a cap on or has a requirement on the rookies you have on your roster. So as a pitcher, you're seeing a lot of guys, especially in the early parts of the season, guys who are brand new to things. There in the middle parts, you saw the college students kind of fall into the league, and then after the draft, another wave. It always seems like you've got some tough at-bats because it's just kids trying to prove themselves in this league. Of course, you don't have experience in some of the other independent leagues, but does it seem like the competition in this independent league is some of the best in the 4 independents?
From what I've heard, obviously that when you go and you play like the Atlantic and the American, you're going to have a lot of, at least from the pitcher side of things, you're going to have guys that pitch off their fastball more because they throw a little bit harder. They might have a better breaking ball. But, just strictly speaking from like the Frontier League, I can even say that this year, hitters, competition, everything is way better than it was last year coming out of COVID.
Relay to second for one. To first is in time, and the Otters, kind of same story we've seen for the last couple weeks. Got a man on with nobody out, and a double play ends the inning abruptly. We head to the 4th. Still scoreless here from Evansville. As you see there, we're through 3 innings and a bunch of goose eggs on the board. Evansville does get the first hit of the ball game, but similar to what we've seen in these last couple weeks, they're unable to do anything with them. In fact, a double play quickly ends the inning. To the 4th we go in Windy City. We'll bring Bryn Martinez, Bryn Spillane, and Dan Robinson up to the plate. Watland will kick and deliver. Bring one home low for ball 1. Justin Watland's been another guy that's been fun to watch throughout this year. A guy that, just like every single starting pitcher we've seen put on an Evansville jersey, has a tough outing here or there and then bounces back with one of the best we see all season. What's a guy like Watland like to be on a staff with?
He's an awesome guy. Obviously, You get to see a lot of the stuff that goes on in the field. He's a great competitor. He's got great stuff. And he's able to battle through things both physically and mentally.
Ball cranked out to right. McNamee will chase back towards the warning track, looking up, and it's going to bounce into the wall. Rounding second's going to be Bryn Martinez. The throw in will be just a tiny bit late. We'll get past Craig, but because Watland's back covering up, they will be able to keep the man from going home, but it is a triple here to lead off the fourth inning. Martinez almost got every piece of that one, and maybe 2 or 3 more lifts in the room would have brought it over the wall.
34,
and this is where we've seen a lot of the Evansville pitchers have some of their most impressive innings, are these leadoff doubles or triples that it seems in the last couple weeks the Otters have been able to work around nicely. And this is something you've seen even in these last couple weeks, a leadoff triple to one of the quickest guys in this league. How do you approach the next at-bat against a DH who can hit the ball very well?
I mean, really, you're just kind of making each pitch as best you can, pitch by pitch. Obviously, right there, Watland missed. But it's one of those things like, hey, like, it's still early in the game. Even if you say get a ground ball, you get him out, and the guy scores, it is what it is, I mean, you got to score to win anyway.
Ball zoomed out to left. It's down for a base hit, and Brent Spillane's not even going to think about going to second. Won't test the arm of Baez, and just like that, Windy City on the board. The hard hit RBI single to left.
Yeah, I would say the most important thing really as a pitcher is obviously you don't want the game to speed up on you. If the world starts spinning faster than you can handle it or that you can really think about, then that's when things start to kind of spiral. To me, that's what happened with my inning when I gave up the 7th spot. Watland's really solid mentally, able to slow things down, pitch to pitch, make quality pitches. And just like that one, I mean, obviously leadoff triple's tough, and then single RBI. But it's also important to know that, hey, you've been really solid up to this point. It's 2 hits. 1 run's not going to make or break your outing. You got to trust that the offense is going to be there to back you up and pick you up anyway. So it's just about attacking each hitter pitch by pitch, trying to make the best pitch that you can, both in terms of selection and also location.
And obviously he's getting a well-deserved routine day off. J.R. Davis not on the starting 9 today. We've seen him in the last couple weeks step up as one of the emotional leaders on the team. Quite often he calls meetings at the mound from the infield as well. What has J.R. Davis done here in these last few weeks to step up as a team leader?
I mean, really, it's one of those things where there haven't been a lot of guys that have been extremely vocal. I think we all kind of treat each other as professionals. We know what we're doing. And for JR, especially in situations like that, and I think the first time I saw it was in Florence, and I think we had Samson Abernathy on the mound. And Samson was battling through some stuff, and the inning wasn't going great. Obviously, we know that Samson was extremely good at what he did, but obviously, bad outings happen. And to see JR kind of go out there, take time, and bring everybody in, like, hey, man, like, it's good. Like, we're behind you. Like, I'm giving you a second here to breathe. And he did that to me too, and it's awesome to see that not only do your position players have your back when you come in after the end of the inning, they're out there and they want the same thing as you. They want the ball. They want you to go out there and compete. And
wonderful play from Tanner Craig, who comes zooming in from the third base area, helping out his pitcher Watland with a nice out number 1.
Yeah, you love to see that as a pitcher. Obviously, making any play, awesome. But to see a position player dive, lay out for a ball like that, especially in foul territory, taking advantage of the massive foul territory there is here at Bosse, it just bumps you up and it just makes you want to be that much better with what you're doing.
I'm glad you brought up Bosse Field. It's a place now you've played for a second season, and I hear mixed reviews from a lot of different players. Some people love the natural surface, and some people just don't. As the ball is popped up behind home and just gets away from Tanksley, it'll just be strike 1. Is this a place you enjoy playing and have grown to love?
Yeah. No, I've really kind of come up with this field. Obviously, when you're rookie 1, you kind of get bonded to everything. It's your first experience, your first pro contract and team. And to be a part of the team we had last year, that's one heck of a team to be a part of your first year. The guys in that clubhouse, both the ones that returned this year and then the ones that didn't, they were some amazing guys to be around and play with. But I mean, for me personally, like Bosse, I was talking to you in between innings about my debut and how things went. That wasn't the first time I'd actually pitched on this field. We played a couple charity games here. We had IU and then Notre Dame I want to say like the first 2 of the 3 years I pitched at USI, and then one of them, the first one was IU, and I was really pumped up because at that point I had just gotten cut from South Alabama, a D1 program, to be able to go and pitch against another D1 program that I didn't get a chance to pitch against that previous spring. It pumped me up, and so obviously I had some experience playing here in Boise, had some good positive emotions with it, and so to be able to play with a different team here, it was a weird experience coming out of my senior year, but I just love this field.
Ball gets away from Tanksley for a second. He will not fire down to second, and Windy City's going to get a man in scoring position with 1 out. And that's kind of one of the fun, unique things about this place is, especially if you're a homegrown talent like a Bryce Studeville per se, there's a lot of guys who have played high school ball here, played some collegiate ball here, and now if they get the chance to play collegiately, it's like they've grown up with this field. And it seems cool that this is a place that is a multi-level facility and lets people play at all opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime that you can have a high school program come in, play on a professional stadium, or even like a college program like USI did for the charity games, like I said, it's awesome. And, for me personally, I majored in history, minored in secondary education. So obviously I get into the history part of it. And to be part of a team that plays here, I can always say that, like, I'm part of the history here. And I honestly think that whether you're with the Otters, if you're with a college team that comes through here and plays, or even like a high school team, to say that you were a part of this history and to be able to share that with the countless members of the baseball community that have also been able to play here, I think is a really cool thing to say.
Now, of course, a couple weeks ago, the report came out that City of Evansville was not selected for a 2023 MLB game, kind of like a Field of Dreams style. How cool would it be to then get to say that you've played on the same field that then major leaguers will get to come and play on potentially in 2024 or 25?
Well, I guess that means I'm going to have to extend my indie ball career an extra 2 years. No, I mean, I heard about the news a little bit. There was some rumoring going around, and I was excited because I really do think that even though that this field is a little bit older, I was hoping that there'd be some, with MLB coming in with some money, you'd be able to give it a little bit of a facelift. Not that it looks bad now, but, I'll give it the Wrigley Field treatment where, hey, we have an old stadium. It's got a lot of history. What can we do to make it look a lot nicer? Can we move the bullpens out past the outfield fence? Can we make the outfield fence look a little, instead of chain link, put some pads on it? And obviously, I like the dugouts where they're at because I haven't had a whole lot of negative experiences, but I've known a few people that have had some balls come their way. It's been pretty hot, so I can understand why that might, might be a point of contention.
Watland with a bit of a jam here. 1 out, runners at first and second. 2-1 to Isaacson, sent out towards center. Gordon will range back towards it, bring it in for out 2. And more importantly, nobody will advance on the play.
Yeah. It's like a gazelle.
It is crazy to watch. I mean, all 3 of them, McNamee and Baez, they can all cover so much ground so quickly. This is an outstanding defensive team. We've got to see it all season long.
I know. Well, and that's what I was going to mention. Obviously, we talked about the infield and how spectacular they were. We didn't even talk about the outfield. And I remember at the end of last season, we brought in Baez. And, of course, when you see a guy that is Baez's size, you don't really think that he's going to be, like, the fastest individual you've ever seen in your life. And even though he's not, like, Usain Bolt, but we put him out there in center field one day, and I was like, well, okay, what's going on here? And then I saw him just absolutely scoot to the gap, catch a ball, and I was extremely impressed. And, to have Mac, seeing some of the plays that he's made this year, Miles obviously is amazing. To have those 3 out there, I mean, it's just that much more confidence.
Yeah, the series that I remember so vividly for Mac was that first one at Gateway. And we did the math out, and he himself saved 13 runs in that 3-game set. I mean, I think he was Peter Zimmerman's biggest enemy. I think him alone, he stole the 2 home runs at the wall. And then they've just been a fun group of guys to watch this year. As the ball's hit hard towards Baez. He ranges back towards it. It's out number 3, and Watland will get out of it, just giving up the 1 run. We head to the bottom half of the 4th. Evansville certainly in a place. They can still strike in this one as we head to the bottom of the 4th. It'll be the top 3 of Gordon, Rosario, and Bierman due up. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. Top of the order, Miles Gordon, Bryan Rosario, and Zach Bierman due up. Never fun to be through the first 9 and sat down almost in order. Tanksley did get himself a base hit, but a double play ended that one abruptly. Little fire under the bellies now. The defense gives up 1 run, but it's just 1 run, and that's I would say a positive situation for this Otters team, as it seemed in the last couple of weeks when they've gone down, it's been multiple runs.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, let's just say that 1 run came off the solo shot. It didn't, but the common phrase is solo shots don't beat you. And according to the box score, it could have been. And the big thing is that obviously Watland had runners on in scoring position. The leadoff triple didn't help, but it's as good as a solo shot. It's not going to beat you. And I really think that it means more if you have a pitcher that goes in there and pitches out of danger and is capable of doing that, rather than somebody that's just, hey, things are going easy, and so you're going to get a little bit relaxed.
Well, I mean, he shows good composure up there. Can reset now with just a man on first and nobody out, and able to get out of it pretty simply, and gave up a couple of fly balls, but this outfield core was able to help him out.
Yeah, the tough part is when you're giving up extra base hits back-to-back, walks are working their way in, and then, obviously errors will happen, and that's when that hurts it and stings a little bit more. But, I mean, like I said, leadoff triple, it happens, and then single to score him, it still keeps the double play intact, and obviously Watland's a guy that throws strikes. So, all things considered, the situation was what it was. It wasn't bad.
3-2, swung on and missed on the outside, and Gordon will sit down with a strikeout. Now, of course, a lot of different athletes in every sport, but pitchers, a lot of different ones will say this differently. Is home field advantage a thing in this league? Like, do you think that when you're having those tough innings on the road, is it tougher than if you're playing here?
It really depends on the field, and it honestly depends on the individual. For me, last year when I was pitching on the road at Gateway, in the back of my mind was always how short their outfield fence was in right field. I always felt like if I made one mistake, that the ball would just travel and I'd give up a home run. And what I've learned is that this year, obviously, I was able to nip that in the butt and change the mentality. So that's why I think it depends on the mentality. But certain crowds will chirp you a little bit louder. Certain crowds are, have more fans or less fans. It depends on the day. But as far as Bossy goes, obviously it's a completely unique field. 1, because it's old. 2, like I mentioned, because you have all this extra foul territory. So pop-ups that usually would go out of play can get caught. But then also what I've heard is that the batter's eye here is absolutely horrendous at times, and the shade from when the sun comes in can sometimes make it impossible to see the ball out of your hand for the first couple innings. So it kind of gives you a little bit more time to settle in as a starter, which is huge, versus if you're on the road, especially if a team's very comfortable at home, they're on you from the get-go.
2-1 ball is laced into center field for a base hit for Bryan Rosario. This has been quite the find for Andy McCauley and his group. Bryan Rosario, he joined the team while they were at Schaumburg there in the beginning of July, and ever since he's been batting well over 300, has found his way into the lineup nicely, and I think made the coaching staff's job a little harder trying to find a way to get him in the lineup every single night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been an absolute grinder. You look at baseball, especially at the professional, like MLB level nowadays, the common thing you see is strikeouts are high, home runs are up, and you see a lot of guys selling out for power. I mean, Joey Gallo, obviously, with the Yankees, obviously not doing his job well, but he was kind of the poster child for this. You want to go out there and you want to try and hit the long ball. You want to hit for power, hit the ball hard, not even necessarily over the fence. But for a guy like Rosario who comes in here and to be able to say, hey, I have 2 strikes, I'm in, the umpire's been calling things a little bit off the plate. I got to shorten up my swing or try to poke it out to left, shallow right, do what I can to at least not strike out. It's huge because there's nothing more unproductive at the plate than obviously when guys are going down, striking out. It's the same thing with pitching. Nothing's more unproductive than when you're going up there giving up home run after home run or walk after walk. So for a guy like him to be able to come in out of college, feel comfortable, and just be a scrappy grinder at the plate is huge.
Well, he has that mentality at the plate. He's got speed on the base paths. He's a solid left fielder, and even some other places when he's needed. But, I mean, it seems like he's got everything you would want out of a young rookie, and he's fallen in nicely. I remember talking to him about, I think, a week into his time here. I'm like, man, you're off to a hot start. He's like, hey, I'm just trying to find my role on this team, and I think he's found it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great mentality to have as a first-year guy. You don't see it very often. Too many times you see a lot of guys come in and they try to be more than what they are. And just like Max has told this to us many times as pitchers, is that you start to have success and you start to really be the best version of yourself once you know who you are. And that's something that really helped me personally throughout the season was, hey, okay, I'm not going to be a guy that goes out there and strikes out the side every inning. I don't have electric, overpowering stuff. It's about how can I get ground balls, feed my defensive guys behind me, and really get through innings.
Bierwin drop ones into right field, and it's overrun by the right fielder Martinez. Rosario coming around third towards the plate. The throw home, not in time. Just like that, we've got a tie ball game. Looked like Martinez was a little worried about trying to keep Rosario from stretching to 3, and instead he lets Rosario stretch all the way home.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is a scenario now where Justin Watland has a little bit of a weight lifted off.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But, I mean, depending on the guys, some guys really like to have that lead. Other guys like to have, the game's a little bit closer, keeps them on edge. But Watland's a guy I think that really kind of looks at the game for what it is and says, hey, no matter if the score is 8-0, if it, for us or for them, or if it's a 1-1, 0-0, the job is still the same. And going back to what you were saying with home field advantage, we play on that natural surface. So the ball is not going to be as consistent and as reliable on its hops as turf. So for a lot of guys that play on turf every single day, to play on an actual dirt field again, even though I think it's the option that should be universal, you can start to see when they come in here, they have that little hesitancy or at least like less than perfect fielding percentage that they would at home.
Well, and it's really just a here in Schaumburg thing here in the West Division.
Mm-hmm.
Ball sent chopping towards short. A nice play from Kaler. He'll throw over to first, but another run will score due to that error. And just like that, Evansville's find themselves on top of this one.
I'm not sure if the broadcast caught that, but, I mean, you saw the hop that ball took. I mean, it's almost like it just said, hey, I'm going to prove your point. And it keeps everybody on their toes, and it makes plays that much more difficult and opens up the running game that much more.
And that's the thing that makes Andy Armstrong and George Khalil that much more impressive is you can make a whole highlight reel just on plays they've made on bad hops on this field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can track the ball exceptionally, and that's one of my favorite things about playing on a surface like this is it is kind of unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the series that I think we all saw at the worst was at Ottawa and that tall infield grass, and you saw just another variable added to that.
Yeah, that's the thing about Ottawa is, when we go into Canada, obviously with the vaccine restrictions, we couldn't bring up the full team. So we were already fighting from a deficit from the get-go. But then with the grass was as thick as it was, it really killed every single ball that came at you. And it was funny to watch. We're leaving to go to Three Rivers, and they're mowing the grass. And we're like, hey, guys, what's up? Like, what are you doing? Like, we could have used this 3 days ago. Because it felt like every ball that got hit on the ground just died on impact.
It said so much about this team to have to have that Canada trip so early in the season, struggle on that road trip because you couldn't have the whole team, but you came right back out of it, and in those early June months played well. It was nice to see the team bounce back there for a stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having that at the beginning of the year was huge. Obviously, Windy City had it. These guys had it, and then they had to come back, and they played the Grays literally 1 hour after they returned home. So we got it off pretty easy, I'd say. Obviously it would have been great to take the full team and catch some games. I think we should have done better had we had everyone there. But, I mean, that's just part of it. Like I said, we got it out of the way early, so we don't have to do it again.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Line out there ends the inning, but Evansville's able to grab a 2-1 lead off of the costly error in right. We head to the 5th inning. Evansville leads 2-1. And as we head here to the top of the 5th inning, Evansville now has themselves a 2-1 lead. Positive to see after a little bit of a tough start. And it's at this point that we welcome in our friends from the United Way of Southwest Indiana. And so glad to have you guys partnering here with the Otters tonight. First of all, your name and what you do with the organization.
My name is Amy Mangold, and I'm the Marketing Communications Director for United Way, and we are so happy to be here tonight.
I had a chance to speak with your guys' CEO earlier this week, and we played it earlier on this broadcast about some of the things you guys are hoping to do in the area. Of course, you're here partnering with the Otters tonight. What are some big events coming up here in the near future for you guys?
Well, one thing we definitely want to talk about is our Fall Day of Caring. We have and host the largest volunteer event, single-day volunteer event in the fall. And that's coming up on Friday, September 16th. We have about 800 volunteer spots available, and we are down to just 100 spots to fill. So it's a really neat day where we gather a bunch of volunteers, hundreds of volunteers, to go out into our community and volunteer for lots of the wonderful nonprofits that are doing such fabulous work in our community. And you can sign up to clean, you can sign up to do landscaping, those types of things. We give you a breakfast in the morning, send you off to do a lot of good in the world.
Now, so many people will probably say, I've heard of United Way, but I don't know what they do, what the mission is. What is it that your organization strives to do?
So, of course, we are a local organization, and all the funds that we raise here locally stay locally, but we're also part of the global organization of United Way. So we really bring resources together to meet community needs. And right now we're focused on helping individuals and families get the resources they need to become upwardly mobile or improve their economic situation. You know, poverty and near poverty is such an issue in our community, and we really want to help people with that hand up rather than just a handout.
Hard ball hitting out into center field is going to give the T-Bolts a man on here in the 5th inning. And I really enjoyed my time I got to spend with Amy, your CEO, talking deeper, not even just on the interview, but outside of the interview about the fact that you guys are finally celebrating 100 years just as a whole organization, and to see where you've come from, to see what you've done along the way, and to see now what the future holds. This has got to be an exciting time for you guys.
Oh, most definitely. It's really amazing. You know, when back in 1922, think about that, 1922, when some of the leaders of Evansville got together and started the first community chest to really support nonprofits, 17 organizations back then, and raised $103,000. But can you think of, they just made that one decision to impact their community, and now 100 years later, we're here talking about that, looking at all the good that's been done in this community. And actually over just the last 25 years, with the support of our community, we have invested more than $93 million into the Southwest Indiana area. So it really does make a difference.
Now, I'm sure there's people out there that are from this area that would love to give, whether that's time, whether that's their money. How can they do that, and where can they find more information about you guys?
Sure. Well, if they're interested in making a donation, they can text the phrase "Be the One," that's the number 1, to 91999. They can make a donation online. We've got Apple Pay, PayPal, things like that. Or if you're interested in giving of your time, please sign up for the Day of Caring. We still have those 100 spots to fill. You can go on UnitedWaySWI.org and click on that homepage banner and get signed up to help one of our local nonprofits. We'll give you breakfast in the morning, as we mentioned, a great program. Listen to a wonderful comedian, and then you get to go out and really feel good about being the one to make some change in the world.
Well, and I think that's ever since the pandemic of COVID. I mean, it made the world shut down for a while. It felt like there was a lot of negativity in the world, and now there's this opportunity for you guys to open up, get back out there. What has this last 2 years been like to get back into the open and continue your mission as an organization?
Well, I tell you, I think for every nonprofit, it was really tough for the pandemic because we had to shut doors. We couldn't invite people in. It was more difficult to serve clients. So again, like you mentioned, to be able to open up, to bring people together, to do good for others, it just is so heartwarming. And even when we gather people together right now, just in small events, people are so happy to spend time together and to connect again. And we're just really excited to be able to put those good hearts back out into the community to help the nonprofits that do such hard work every day.
Spillane is going to fire one out towards right center field. Gordon will chase back towards the wall, and it is gone. A grand slam for Windy City right after Evansville had found themselves back into this one. Just like that, the T-Bolts right back on top. Certainly a tough way for Evansville to hand that lead right back over. You know, last year the Otters saw crowds they probably didn't love. I mean, people were still a little scared to get back out. First night of this season, we saw almost 6,000 people here, and now again on your guys' evening, well over 4,000. It's so cool to see the city of Evansville come out again and get to be around each other, and not only in a situation like this where we're coming out and enjoying this, but also in your guys' nonprofit activities. The Otters themselves have partnered with a couple this year, and the events we've gone out to, there's so many people that just seem happy to be around each other.
Sure, and it's always fun to come and be at the ballpark, right? I mean, the Otters are just a gem and such an asset to our community, and I love to see the kids that are here. They're having a great time. Families spending time together. That's one of my favorite things, is watching these families spend time together. It's a beautiful night out here. We've had the blessing of some great weather, so I really hope you guys see these crowds continue because, again, the Otters give so much back to our community, and we'd love to see that support back to you all as well.
Well, I think it starts at the top. Our owner, Bill Bussing, and this is not me speaking as an employee. This is just me speaking as Bill Bussing's one of the most giving men I've ever met. What does he do for your guys' organization as well?
He's an amazing man, and I tell you, Bill does so much for so many organizations, whether he sits on boards or he's very philanthropic. Or, we can always call up Bill, ask him for advice, get his feedback, get his insight, say, hey, Bill, we're looking to maybe change our strategy a little bit, focus on some of these pathways to potential that we want to help people get into. And he will give us his honest feedback and also share the great wisdom that he has.
Tough play for Khalil, an off-balance throw, and he's able to get it over for the third out, but not before a grand slam scores for Windy City. I do want to say another thank you for coming on to the broadcast and giving us a little more information. I'll continue throughout the night to share your guys' information, how people can get more. We want to say thank you for spending not only the time here on the broadcast, but coming out to the ballpark, and we're excited to have you guys partnering with us this year, and it's always great to have more people out here.
Thank you. We appreciate it so much, and we got to say, go Otters, right?
It's United Way, SWI.org. You can get more organization. We head to the bottom half of the fifth right after this on the Otters Digital Network. We head to the bottom half of the fifth inning, and a grand slam for Windy City dampens the spirits of Evansville. They had gotten themselves right back in front of this one, and Now they're going to have to fight from behind yet again. Tanner Craig kicks off the half inning for Evansville. Starts off with the ball, and now a called strike on that outside edge, which will even his count at 1 ball, 1 strike. We're here on an Astound Thirsty Thursday at the ballpark. Great crowd on hand. It's packed all the way to both sides of Bosse Field. Big group out in the Corona patio deck. Big groups in both the right and left field picnic tents. This is what it's all about. A perfect night for baseball. A great crowd on hand. Now we just hope the Otters can find their way back into this one. 2 balls, 1 strike for Tanner Craig, and he foul tips one into the mask of Morgan. And the count evens up 2 balls, 2 strikes. We do want to start looking through what it looks like around the league right now. As, of course, a busy night in the Frontier League. Couple of double headers going on today as well. As we wait for the 2-2 to Tanner Craig. He weakly grounds into the left side of the infield. Kaler will charge in. The throw to first is just in time for out number 1 in the inning. We start off our tour around the Frontier League at Tri-City, where the Valley Cats got a 6-3 win in the rescheduling of last night's game. Ottawa carried a 3-0 lead into today's game. Tri-City grabs 6 runs and wins Game 1. In Game 1 of their doubleheader, Sussex County got an 8-0 win over the Empire State Grays. In Game 2 of the Tri-City-Ottawa series, the Valley Cats currently lead Ottawa 10-8. They're in the top of the 7th inning, the last scheduled inning, of course, with it being a doubleheader. In Game 2 of Sussex County and Empire State, the Grays lead 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th. They're at Sussex County. In the top of the 7th inning, New York holds a 4-1 lead against New Jersey in a battle of the East. 1-0 outside takes the count to 2-0 for Brody Tanksley. His last time up, got himself a single but was stranded over there at first. At the top of the 5th, Lake Erie has a 7-2 lead against Schaumburg. If Evansville can find a win and Schaumburg loses, the Otters would be tied for that second place spot yet again. Taken ball for a called strike. We'll make it a 2 ball, 1 strike count now for Brody Tanksley. The kick and delivery from Alkire, high and inside. It's ball 3. And we continue around the score updates. Quebec, a 6-1 lead at Trois-Rivières right now. They're at the top of the 5th inning. In the top of the 6th, Florence tied with Washington at Washington, 2-2. Washington fell to Florence in last night's game. In the bottom of the 5th inning, Gateway at Joliet. They are still scoreless right now. Another game Evansville is keeping their eyes on, as if they fell in this one, a Joliet win would have Joliet now tied for the 3rd spot in the West Division. So Otters could move either way tonight. They'd love to find themselves back into this game and potentially back into 2nd place. 3-1 to Tanksley is sent fouled back, and if there wasn't a netting behind home, it would have ended up right here in our window. Again, we want to say a thank you to, first of all, Evansville Otters starting pitcher Austin Gossman for joining us on the first 4 innings of this game. Also want to say thank you to the United Way of Southwest Indiana for joining us as well. They are our nonprofit partner for this evening, as Tanksley fouls one into the dust and keeps himself alive in the count. United Way does so much good for this community, and it's great to get to highlight them as well. Again, if you want to get more information from them, it's United Way SWI, which stands for Southwest Indiana, UnitedWaySWI.org to find more information to help out there. 3-2 to Tanksley is again fouled back into the netting. Great work from the Tank to keep himself alive in this count. (3-2) yet again for Brody Tanksley. That one stays inside, and it's a really hard-earned walk for Brody Tanksley. He has been a ton of fun to watch in this last week since he returned to the starting lineup.
Cafe and Bar.
So it's the first base on balls yet tonight for Evansville. And it keeps the perfect day alive for Brody Tanksley. He has a single and a walk now to his name.
28, George Polio.
George Khalil, the next Otter, heading towards the plate. He flew out to center his first time up. Pitch just on the outside edge. Is good for ball one. For the Australian shortstop, who's already made a couple of nice plays defensively in this ball game. Runner at first is Tanksley as the 1-0 comes home. Will takes that one high and in, and that one does hit him on the arm. He's got himself a hit by pitch for real this time. So there's now runners at first and second with 1 out. One out, runners at first and second. Andy Armstrong takes a first pitch high for ball one. Armstrong's first attempt was a ground into double play back in the third inning. It was after Tanksley had got himself on base for the first time, and it was a quick, abrupt ending to that third inning. The 1-0 to Andy Armstrong is skied out to the right side. Chasing in a bit is Martinez. Gets himself underneath it, brings it in for out number 2. So that means with 2 on and 2 out, we head back to the top of the order. Miles Gordon heads to the plate.
Edward Jones set up enters the game in center field. 6, Miles Gordon.
Miles Gordon is 0 for 2, fouled out in the first inning, and then struck out in the fourth. But right after his strikeout in the fourth came the Otters' back-to-back singles, one of which having an error attached to it that ended up giving the Otters a chance to bring in some runs. First pitch home to Miles Gordon. It is swung on and missed. They're going to throw down to first, and it gets past the first baseman, Isaacson, who had to dive after it. Because of it, he just a little bit shaken up, standing back up. They got past him, but not far enough. So the Otters were stuck at first and second. Tanksley stands at second. George Khalil stands on first. 1 is hit weakly towards the right side. Tough play for Isaacson. His throw over to first is going to be close, and they say safe. Bases are going to be loaded after the close play there. And Miles Gordon will reach on the infield single. I'm sure Evansville loves that it's Bryn Rosario coming to the plate in a situation like this. We've seen Bryn Rosario come up as a solid batsman and a lot of opportunities that can mean a lot for this team. This one could decide whether Evansville can get back into this game or not. Tanksley at third, Khalil at second, Miles Gordon at first, and the rookie Bryn Rosario at the plate. He had a single back in the fourth, wide out to center into first. First pitch home to Bryn Rosario. Low inside, make it ball one. One ball, no strikes for Bryn Rosario. Takes another pitch on the inside edge, an easy ball to lay off for ball two. Don't forget that the Evansville Otters season continues tomorrow night at Washington. The team hops on the bus after this one and heads towards Pennsylvania. They will face off with the Wild Things tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Tomorrow night's game scheduled for a 7:05 first pitch Eastern time, so set for 6:05 here in Evansville. A foul tip from Rosario on that inside pitch. Take it to 2-1. So 6:05 is when first pitch is scheduled here for Evansville time. You can catch the game for free here on the Otters Digital Network. We'll have every single pitch for you live from Wild Things Park, Washington, Pennsylvania. Two to Rosario. Low and outside, and it's a 3-1 count. Now for the for the DH, Bryan Rosario, not the left fielder tonight. Bases jammed, 2 outs, a huge chance for Evansville to get right back in this game. The 3-1 home. And it's taken high for ball 4, and a run will walk in from Bryan Rosario. Good patience from the rookie there. Now that brings up Zach Bierman, who's 1 for 2 on the night.
First baseman 45, Zach Bierman.
Boy, is Zach Bierman due for a big at-bat. Out comes the manager for Windy City. Brian Smith is going to make a pitching change.
Read the special announcement.
Let you know who's coming in for Windy City right after this. Evansville with a chance to bring themselves back into this one. They're down by 2 at the bottom of the 5th inning. Bases loaded. A pitching change here for Windy City. Dazen Cole will get the nod out of the left field bullpen. This call of the bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Cole on the mound and Morgan behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give a call at 812-475-9000. Bases loaded, 2 outs, a huge chance for Zach Bierman to help the Otters get right back even in this one, or potentially even take the lead depending on what kind of hit he was able to acquire. Bierman's 1 for 2 in the game thus far, had a single out to right. His last time up, it got past the right fielder Martinez, and he ended up reaching third and then scoring later on Baez's RBI fielder's choice. Wild throw from Cole is going to get way away. The throw to the plate is not in time. And Evansville will score a run on the wild pitch. They are just down by 1 now. Just like that, the Otters right back in this one. And on the wild pitch, Gordon will reach third, Rosario reaches second, and now there goes the force play anywhere. 2 outs, runners at second and third for Zach Bierman. And now he doesn't need an extra base hit to bring in multiple guys. Laying something down anywhere out there would at least bring in 1. 2-0 home, and it's off the inside of the
Overhead
Handle
ball
the bat.
brought to you by
Down
Hess
away, and it counts to
Construction.
2-1.
Choose the best. Never regret it.
The 2-1 to Bierman. Swinging strike 2, and we're evened up at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Two home, and it's again fouled off. Two balls, 2 strikes. And the first baseman, Zach Bierman. A chance for Evansville to take the lead. Something solid from Zach Bierman here. The 2-2 to the plate. Zoom to the right side, but foul. Bierman crushed that baseball, but unfortunately it was well foul. We're here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Evansville and Windy City have both scored in back-to-back innings now. The count remains at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and 2 on. Pitch home from Cole. Swinging strike 3. And Evansville will have to remain down in this one, but now it's just a 1-run advantage after they score on an RBI walk from Rosario and a wild pitch. We head to the 6th inning. It's Windy City 5, Evansville 4 here on the Otters Digital Network. Top of the 6th inning, and before we go any further, we want to remind you that Evansville Otters Baseball on the Otters Digital Network is presented by Old National Bank. Your bank for Evansville, your bank for life. On the first pitch, Peyton Isaacson zooms one to the right field edge, and McNamee will run out of room. It's going to land on the right field picnic tent. So it's a quick 1 strike as we launch in here to the 6th inning. Due up for Windy City is Isaacson, Morgan, and Kaler. Isaacson is 0 for 2, reached on an error in the second, was left on base, and then flew out his last time up. Now he zooms one out towards left, and it's going to drop maybe 2 feet foul. Baez wasn't quite there in time, and luckily for him, it is a foul ball. It's an astounding Thirsty Thursday here from the ballpark. Astound was giving out ticket vouchers that chips and a bottle of water here at the ballpark. And United Way was giving away tickets, so a lot of people had a night of fun. 100% free. Pitch low and inside from Watland. Will bounce in for ball one. Takes the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes. Evansville had Jacob Bowles warming a couple innings ago, but ever since the bullpen has remained vacant for the time being. A 1-2 sent foul to the left side now.
Already call brought to you by S Construction. Choose the best. Never regret.
Otters are right back at it tomorrow night, like I mentioned, at Washington. Pivotal series for the Evansville Otters to get themselves right back in the thick of things. Ball right back to Watland. He'll throw to first in time. Plenty of time, obviously, for out number 1. Again, we 1 and 2.
The catcher 8, Matt Morgan.
Reach out and say another thank you to both Ross and Gossman for spending some time with us on the broadcast in the first 4 innings, and then Amy Mangold, the marketing director there for United Way, Southwest Indiana, for coming on to the 5th inning as well to share a little bit more about United Way, their mission, and the goals they hope to accomplish here in the Evansville area. If you'd like to give time or money to that organization, you can at UnitedWaySWI.org. And that big day of caring coming up, and I'm sure they'd love to have you come out and help serve the community that we all love and cherish here in Evansville. 1-1 to Morgan, bounces in for ball 2. Watland trying to get himself through a 6th inning. I imagine that might be where they're happy with his performance. If he can get through 6, then maybe we see a bullpen arm for 7 and or 8. The Otters can get themselves closer in this one or ahead, and Logan Sawyer can help out at the end. Still lots of baseball to play, though. 3-1 stays high, and it is a 1-out walk here for Matt Morgan. So that'll bring the 8-hole hitter to the plate. Shortstop Cole Kaler. Kaler is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts so far in the game. Watland only has 3 strikeouts, and 2 of the 3 have come against Cole Kaler. With that, Jacob Bowles pops back up in the bullpen for Evansville. First pitch sent off the edge of the bat towards Armstrong at second. Throw to second for 1. To first in time, and it's a 4-6-3 double play that will end the inning. Evansville again gets out of a tough situation. We head to the bottom half of the 6th. Evansville down by 1. Bottom of the 6th inning here, and Evansville is holding themselves close in this one. It's a 5-4 advantage to Windy City. Otters have scored in 2 straight innings. We kicked this inning off with the 4, 5, 6 hitters of Baez, McNamee, and Craig. 3 guys very capable of kickstarting this offense once again. It's still Jason Cole in the game for Windy City up on the bump. And his first pitch to Baez. Going outside for ball 1. 1-0 count to kick off this bottom of the 6th. Pitch on the way to Baez, and it's inside for his liking, but it is a called strike. Caught that inside edge. Baez does shy away from some of the inside pitches, prefers to extend his hands a little. That one catches the outside edge just barely. Baez turns to ask for clarification. We get set for the 1-2 pitch to Jeffrey Baez. It's off the handle of the bat and up over on top of the Bossa Field roof area.
Baez Construction, choose the best, never regret it.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Jeffrey Baez. Here to lead off the bottom of the 6th. Another one off the handle, and we're on top of this place. Jason Cole got himself that very important last out of the 5th to help relieve the starter Jack Alkire. He's looking to go here into the 6th. 1-2 set on the ground towards the first baseman. Isaacson takes a weird hop towards him. The play at first will not be made. Isaacson upset that his pitcher Cole was not quite there in time. And because of it, Baez gets himself on with an error to lead off this inning. So there's a man on with nobody out.
Right fielder, 9, Elijah McNamee.
Elijah McNamee at the plate now. So an error on that first baseman, Peyton Isaacson, has allowed Baez to reach. Cole with a glance over towards first. And now the first pitch home to McNamee. He takes it low and inside for ball 1. It's become much more obvious, I think, that McNamee is more than happy to take the first pitch every single time, see what the pitcher's going to throw his way, and a lot of the time, he's getting himself ahead in the count, too. 1-0 home to him now. And the throw down to first gets away from Isaacson for a second, but not far enough away that Baez can go anywhere. The count's at 2 balls, no strikes. Matt Morgan, the catcher for Windy City, does have a rocket arm. Got to be careful as a base runner, as he can make a play interesting. Just not on that opportunity. There goes Baez towards second. The throw's on the wrong side of the bag, and he's going to go towards third now. The throw towards third is not going to happen as the center fielder dropped the ball. Baez is going to get himself a pair of bases. He'll get a stolen base. Then he'll get third on an E2. So McNamee a 3-0 count. Baez at third after the stolen base and the error. And the Otters have a chance to tie this game up right away here in the 6th. A called strike towards McNamee. The first strike of the at-bat takes us to 3-1. Cole sets himself up. The 3-1 to McNamee. Swinging strike 2. That pitch ran out of the zone to the outside edge. McNamee chased it out there. Big hit, Matt. 0 for 2 on the day. A fly out and a line out. to his name thus far. Defense is playing in, trying to keep the run from scoring. And McNamee will call time prior to the 3-2 pitch. Tri-City, by the way, did get the second win of that doubleheader and sweep the doubleheader against Ottawa. 3-2 to McNamee. It's fouled up over to the right side. As for what that does for Tri-City, it brings them now just one game back of Ottawa in that East. Sorry, a half game back of Ottawa in that East Division. Ottawa's 46-34. Tri-City is 45-34. So Tri-City a half game out of second place in the East Division. Boy, how things are getting interesting across the Frontier League here as we head to the final 2.5 weeks. 3-2 to McNamee. Sent high out towards right center. Dropping back is the second baseman Greer for out number 1, and Baez will have to stay at third. So that takes us to the third baseman Tanner Craig, who's 0 for 2, a strikeout and a groundout. Tanner Craig ready for the first pitch of his at-bat. He foul tips it into the mask of our home plate umpire. Third or fourth time he's had that tonight. And he throws his arms up like, what am I doing wrong? An 0-1 to Tanner Craig. Taken for a called strike 2 now. Good "Let's Go Otters" chant starting to break out here at Bossy Field. Secret weapon will help us out. The 0-2 to the third baseman Craig. High outside, ball 1. One ball, 2 strikes for Tanner Craig. With 1 out and a runner at third. Pitch comes home. Swinging, strike 3. And Craig will sit down with the second strikeout from Dazen Cole. The Otters are going to have to try to bring home Baez with 2 outs. And Brody Tanksley headed to the plate.
46, Brody Tanksley.
Two outs. Runner at third is Baez. Brody Tanksley's first pitch home. Hit sharply towards Kaler at short. His throw over to first. Low, but in time, and the Otters are going to strand Baez at third. Huge chance to tie this game. The Otters are not able to. We head to the 7th. It's Windy City 5, Evansville 4, here on your home for the Evansville Otters, the Otters Digital Network. As we head to the back third of this one, Evansville down 5-4. All the scoring in that fourth and fifth inning, as you see on your screen there. Windy City holding a lead in all three categories. 5-4 in the runs, 6-4 in the hits, and committed 2 more errors than Evansville, 3-1 in that category. They just announced the attendance for tonight, 6,035. Awesome people here at historic Bosse Field. The second sellout of the year for the Evansville Otters. First pitch home. Greer swings through for a swinging strike 1. Greer on the day is 1 for 2, a single and a strikeout to his name. He came around to score on the grand slam after his single. Makes a called strike to go back 0-2 in the count. Want to give a quick check-in on Schaumburg as they still trail 7-2 in the top of the 7th. The German American Bank strikeout, as I say that, on the field from Justin Watland, his 4th of the day. And it takes us back to the top of the order where Brian Klein will step in. So Schaumburg trailing 7-2 in the top of the 7th. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the 7th, Gateway and Joliet are still scoreless. Still looking for someone to break through there. Otters, of course, hoping that if they're unable to find themselves on the winning side of this game, they want Joliet to lose against Gateway so they would at least stay in sole possession of third place. The 1-0 decline, sent foul to the left side. As we are now at the point in the season where we have to look at tiebreakers. And the tiebreaker is head-to-head. That's the first one, of course. And between Evansville and Joliet, right now it's even at 3-3. So then you go to, I believe it's win percentage, in which right now they're tied. Another pitch will stay low, and the count's even at 2-2 for Brian Klein. We are going to see Joliet one more time this season. That's next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here at Bosse Field. Get your tickets now at EvansvilleOtters.com. 2-2 decline is pushed out towards right field, but Armstrong will drop back and make a nice catch. Not a lot of second basemen will make a run towards that ball.
Right fielder 2, Brent Martinez.
Armstrong is able to for out number 2. And we head to Bryn Martinez, the quick right fielder. He is currently 2 for 3, a single and a triple so far in the game. Watland will start with a called strike. The 0-1 to Martinez stays just a little bit low, and with it, our count evens up. A high pitch takes us to 2-1. 2-1. Stays high yet again, make it 3-1. Watland trying to get himself out of this inning on a 3-1 pitch. Taken for a called strike 2, and it'll all come down to a full count, 2 outs, payoff pitch here at the top of the 7th. Watland trying to clock 7 full innings in this game. The 3-2 hit up the middle, right into the glove of Watland. Over to first for out number 3. It's 7 full innings from Watland. And this is all we see from him. He gives up 5 runs on 6 hits in 7 innings. We head to the bottom half of the 7th. Time to stretch from Evansville. We've stretched here in Evansville, and with it, a new pitcher on the mound for Windy City. And it's the 6-foot righty out of Oak Grove, South Carolina, that will get the nod. Daniel Kite, formerly of the Lake Erie Crushers, looking to bring that sidearm action into this game, and at least right now keep Evansville off the board as they are raging back in this one, trying to find that elusive game-tying run as they trail 5-4. This call to the bullpen, presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It is Kite on the mound. And Morgan behind the plate, the pitcher catcher battery, sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give a call. That's 812-475-9000. Daniel Kite is simply looking to help keep his team in a place where they could just squeeze out of this tough situation. Evansville's shown a lot of promise in this game. They look like a team that's hungry to be right back in there in the game, grab themselves a key hit here, a key run there, and potentially tie this game up. They had a beautiful chance in that 6th. Baez reached 3rd on the air with, at that point, nobody out, but 3 straight outs erased that opportunity.
The shortstop, 28, George Khalil.
It's George Khalil, Andy Armstrong, and Miles Gordon, 2 up in the half inning. George Khalil's 0 for 1, a hit by pitch, and a fly out. He came around to score on a wild pitch in the 5th inning. Right now, his run is the 4th, the one that has Evansville down by just 1. George getting himself set there at the plate. Kite kicks and delivers. It's on the inside, well inside for ball 1. One ball, no strikes for George Khalil. And a nice moving pitch works towards the middle half of the plate. Catches that inside edge for a called strike that evens our count. 1 ball, 1 strike now. Khalil drives one out towards right field. Martinez will step back towards it and bring it in for out number 1. Good contact there from Khalil. Unfortunately, it didn't do the right thing for him.
Second baseman, 1, Andy Armstrong.
So it's now the 9-hole hitter Andy Armstrong due up for Evansville. The second baseman's 0 for 2 on the day. Grounded into a double play in the 3rd. Flew out to right as part of that big inning from Evansville in the 5th. First pitch to Armstrong. Outside for ball 1. Armstrong's average has kind of varied anywhere between the 220s to the 240s, sometimes even into the 250s. As a 1-0 heads his way. Stays low and inside, and because of it, count goes to 2-0 in favor of Andy Armstrong. Otters hit the road after this one, but they're right back in Bosse Field on Tuesday night for game 1 of a 6-game homestand to finish off the home half of the season. 2-0 to Armstrong's high for ball 3. Otters are here Tuesday through Sunday of next week, the last 6 home games of the 2022 regular season. Make sure you come out and see the Otters while you can. The 3-0 on the way. Low outside, ball 4. A 4-pitch walk for Andy Armstrong.
That's a deer bed, sidewalk, cafe, and bar.
And it sets the table for the top of the order, where Miles Gordon is due up for Evansville.
Edward Jones, man of the game in center field, 6 Miles Gordon.
Gordon is 1 for 3, had a single in that 5th inning. His single loaded the bases for Evansville. Then right after, Bryan Rosario brought in the first run of the inning for Evansville. First pitch to Miles Gordon. He shows bunt. He pulls away, and Armstrong's going to get himself to second very easily. He even rounds second, looks towards third as the pitch did get away from Morgan behind the plate. So, of course, due to the intent, I'm sure they'll give him a stolen base there. Miles Gordon now looking at a 1-0 count. And the runner at second and 1 out. He was going to try to bunt his man over, and now he could do that, I guess. Or he could hope for a base hit that would drive in a run now. He's showing bunt again. He pulls away, but this one's a called strike. One ball, one strike for Miles Gordon. There's 1 out and a runner out on second. The 1-1 to Gordon. Watches that one come across. Looked like it was going to be strike 2, but it stayed too far inside. Two balls, one strike. It stays in the zone on that outside edge and evens our count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The 2-2. Gordon swings through it for strike 3. It'll be the first strikeout of the day for Daniel Kite.
Designated hitter, 13, Bryn Rosario.
So now the hopes for Evansville right on Bryn Rosario. He's already reached base twice today, a single in the 4th. Came around to score on the error from the right fielder Martinez. In the 5th, he had an RBI bases loaded walk. The lefty Rosario with a chance to bring in what would be the game-tying run for Evansville. 2 outs, runner on second. The first pitch home to Bryn Rosario. Taken for a called strike on that outside edge. Kite not a guy that's going to wow you with his speed, but boy, is his stuff unique. He's got the sidearm, submarine, whatever you want to call it, approach, and because of that, it makes the ball come to the plate just a little bit differently. An 0-1 now to Bryn Rosario. He shows bunts, but it ends up foul on that left side. Tried to surprise the third baseman, Klein. So the count's 0-2 now for Bryn Rosario. Armstrong chomping at the bit out there at second. Would love to score the Otters' game-tying run. We'll try again the 0-2 to Rosario. It's off the handle of the bat, and he keeps himself alive. Funky pitch towards him, and he's lucky he got some of it. Tomorrow night, we're live for West Division action at Washington. 6:05 first pitch here in Evansville time. It's a 7:05 local there in Pennsylvania. Let's try it again on the 0-2 to Bryn Rosario. 2 outs, Armstrong at second. It's off the handle of the bat, fouled away, and we will have to do it all again.
Overhead foul ball brought to you by Hess Construction. Choose the best. Never regret it.
And with it, Morgan's going to go out and have a chat with his pitcher just to refresh signs. That's why the umpire comes and chases out afterwards. Well, I could have said it the last two pitches, but I'll say it here. Daniel Kite getting set to throw what could be one of the most important pitches of this entire game. A chance for Rosario and Evansville to even this game up. Long wait from Kite. Has himself ready on the 0-2. The pitch to Rosario. Low inside, call it ball one. I think Kite thought he had gotten a called strike three. He was already walking off the mound. Well, we'll have to try it all again. Flag is completely down towards the ground there out in center field, as there is not a lick of breeze blowing through Bosse Field now. The 1-2 to Bryan Rosario. Pushed out towards left. Chasing in is Robinson. Also Kaler dropping back, and he makes an impressive play in shallow left field for out number 3. The Otters once again get a game-tying run into scoring position, but cannot bring him home. We head to the 8th. Otters trail by 1. To the 8th inning we go, and Jacob Bowles will get the nod from the bullpen. But first, I want to remind you that Evansville Otters Baseball on the Otters Digital Network is presented by Bud Light. To the mound we shift our attention, and Jacob Bowles set to pick things up here in the 8th inning. We can officially close the book on Justin Watland. Watland goes 7 full innings, gives up 5 runs on 6 hits, walked 2, struck out 4. Bowles, however, 29th appearance for him, a 3.50 ERA, looking to keep this game right where it's at. Getting set to get his final warm-up pitches in, and we want to remind you that this call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Due up in the half inning for Windy City are Spillane, Robinson, and Robertson. Tanksley remains behind the plate, so it's Bowles on the mound. Tanksley behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery. Pitcher-catcher battery sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give a call at 812-475-9000. Bryn Spillane, huge part of this game so far. An RBI single in the 4th and the grand slam in the 5th. He has brought in all 5 runs for Windy City thus far, and it just adds to what's been a spectacular series for him in general. In the Tuesday night game, he had 2 RBIs on a double in the 4th and then a 2-run home run later in the game, and those were 4 of the 5 runs scored by their squad. The 1-1 to Spillane. well outside, making ball 2. And again, we take a second to reset. The 2-1 to Spillane. Great pitch, but it stayed just above the elbows. The 3-1 to Bryn Spillane. It stays low, and it's a leadoff walk for Spillane here in the half inning. He's reached in 3 of his 4 opportunities tonight. So now the left fielder, Dan Robinson.
The left fielder, number 19, Dan Robinson.
He heads to the plate 0 for 3 on the day. Bryn Spillane's going to check out of this game. We're going to have a pinch runner.
Your attention, please. Running at first base, number
It
32,
will be Jarius Richards who takes over. Richards pinch running here in the top of the 8th inning. Dan Robinson is making his way to the plate. Like I mentioned, 0 for 3, a fly out, a foul out, and a ground out. Bowles is going to go check on the runner. But Richards is back in plenty of time. Richards was in the lineup the last 2 nights, had tonight off until this point, went 1 for 4 in last night's contest, and went 0 for 4 on the opening contest on Tuesday. The first pitch to Dan Robinson, and instead Bowles is going to once again go check on his runner at first. This time Richards calls time and has to dust himself off and readjust. That one surprised him. First pitch to Robinson, that's a called strike on the outside edge. No balls, 1 strike to Robinson, a runner on first and nobody out. Again, Bowles will go check on him, and again, Richards is back in time. Oh, 1. This is just barely on the outside, and with it, our count evens at a ball and a strike. Again, Bowles will check on his runner, and again, Richards is back in time. A 1-1 pushed out towards left center. Going to be a long run for Gordon. He can't get there in time. There goes Richards towards third. The advancement to second is close, and they get the man at second. Robinson tried to advance himself for a double. He's caught on his way to second just barely. Evansville's at least able to get one of the men out there on the base paths. There's a frustrated Dan Robinson making his run in towards the dugout now. It is a single for him and a caught advancing.
Strikeout back in the game. Center fielder number 7, Peyton Robertson.
But on the play, Richards just advanced to third. So now Peyton Robertson, the center fielder, is at the plate with a runner on third and 1 out in the inning. First pitch comes home. Stays too far inside for ball 1. Otters coaching staff thought that one was a called strike, but it was left alone on the inside for a ball. the 1-0 pitch home. That's fouled into the leg of Robertson. He will regroup prior to the 1-1 pitch. The 1-1 to Robertson. Swinging strike 2. Big pitch there. The 1-2 swinging strike 3. A huge German American bank strikeout for Jacob Bowles.
Congratulations, fans, for that strikeout by Peyton Robertson. The Hoosier Lottery strikeout batter of the game has been won. Fans in Section K will each receive a free Hoosier Lottery ticket. Fans must be 18 or to receive a prize.
First baseman Peyton Isaacson now making his way to the plate.
First baseman number 15, Peyton Isaacson.
He's 0 for 3. Reached on an error in the second, was stranded on base, and then flew out in the fourth, grounded out in the sixth. First pitch to him, hit sharply towards Bierman at first. A tough bounce, but he's able to play it to first in time for out number 3. And Richards will not come back to grab the Otters for any runs. We've played 7.5 innings. It's Windy City 5, Evansville 4, here from historic Bosse Field. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. And a new pitcher on the mound for Windy City, Brett Smith, gets the nod out of the left field bullpen. Hails from Alsip, Illinois. Has some good, strong throws home you can rely on. Has an ERA sitting in the low 2s. It's impressive what he has put up so far this year. This call to the bullpen, presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Smith on the mound, Morgan behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery, sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or give a call at 812-475-9000. Zach Bierman, Jeffrey Baez, and Elijah McNamee, the 3-2 up here in the half inning for Evansville. 1 run to tie, 2 runs to set up Logan Sawyer in what could be a save opportunity. The first pitch home to Bierman. Stays high and outside, ball 1. Boy, would it be great for Evansville to give this sellout crowd an exciting end into this one. Pitch taken, and our count's even at 1 ball and 1 strike. That was one that Bierman just swung right through. The 1-1. Bierman will let it go by for ball 2 on the outside edge. We are down to the final stretch of this season. 15 games left after tonight. 2-1 to Bierman, a swinging strike 2. He's even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Series concludes with a 3-game set at Washington. That starts tomorrow night. We'll have the call for you here on the Otters Digital Network, 7:05 local time, 6:05 here in Evansville. Big curveball misses on that outside edge. Oh, so close to a strikeout for Brett Smith. The 3-2 to Zach Bierman. Swinging strike 3. The Otters will kick off this 8th with a strikeout from Bierman, his 3rd of the game.
Number 33, Jeffrey Baez.
The left fielder, Jeffrey Baez. The next hope for Evansville in the half inning. Smith kicks and delivers on the first pitch to Baez. It's low for ball 1. Logan Sawyer is out there doing his normal 8th inning stretches in case the Otters were able to grab a couple of runs. I imagine the only reason he would come in the 9th is if the Otters were actually ahead. The 1-0 stays low. Takes the count to 2-0 for Jeffrey Baez. I think even with a tie game, even if Evansville just gets the 1 and evens this at 5-5, we would still see Jacob Bowles in the top half, but it is hard to tell exactly. Looks like Lane Schnitz-Paxton is warming up just in case Windy City needs him. Swinging strike 1 as Baez in the other category there on the board. Make it 2 balls, 1 strike. Two balls, 1 strike to the left fielder, Jeffrey Baez. There's 1 out, bases empty near the bottom of the 8th. 2-1 stays low and outside. That one looked like Smith just lost his footing as he planted on his way down, and immediately he started pushing around at some dirt down there. Now we're kind of move some things around. A 3-1. Baez will put it back off the little lip of roof and right back out towards the pitcher. And with it, the count goes to full. So we take a second to get reset prior to the full count pitch for Jeffrey Baez. Three balls, 2 strikes for Baez. 1 out, nobody on here at the bottom of the 8th. Outside, and Baez has himself a walk. His 2nd time on base today.
That's a deer head, sidewalk, cafe and bar. All right,
Elijah McNamee making his way.
McNamee.
Elijah McNamee at the plate. 1 man on, 1 man out. Bottom of the 8th. First pitch home, taken for a called strike to kick off the at-bat for McNamee. We know Baez has the speed and wants to use it. Grabbed himself a stolen bases last time, and an error allowed him to reach third. 0-1 to McNamee. That one's low and outside. They'll fake over towards first as Baez will walk his way back over. Now we see Logan Sawyer begin to throw a couple pitches down there in the right field bullpen. There's 1 ball, 1 strike for Elijah McNamee. Man on first and 1 out. The 1-1, there goes Baez towards second. It's swung on, dribbles away, and because of it, Baez is going to get himself a stolen base. Counts at 1-2 for Elijah McNamee. Now he's got a runner in scoring position with 1 out. And before McNamee can get set, they'll have a discussion on the mound. It's going to be signs that they discuss, and that's why they asked home plate umpire to come out with them. One ball, 2 strikes for Elijah McNamee. Baez stands on second, and there is 1 out in the inning. Evansville trying to get themselves in a place where they could not only tie this game, but potentially win this game. The 1-2 to McNamee. Crank towards left, down for a base hit. Here comes Baez around third. He's going to score easily, an RBI single for Evansville, and this game is tied. The stolen base comes up huge now. And what a chance now for the rookie. Tanner Craig has a chance to extend this inning with something big. Could help the Otters get up on top of this one. A huge chance for the rookie here. Evansville's tied the game here in the bottom of the 8th inning. With an RBI single from Big Hit Mac. First pitch to Craig. Catches his own for a called strike 1. The 0-1 for Tanner Craig. Stays low. The throw out to second tied. Because of it, McNamee's going to be in there with a stolen base. Because of it, the Otters have another man in scoring position. So the count's even at 1 ball, 1 strike for Tanner Craig. McNamee now stands at second with 1 out. The 1-1 to the third baseman, Tanner Craig. Hit high out towards right, but fouled. Will end up well out of play.
Brought to you by Advanced Construction. Choose the best and never regret it.
So Craig has a 1-2 count. 1 out. Runner in scoring position is Elijah McNamee at second. Taking his time on the bump is Brett Smith. He steps off and resets. Long wait. Finally ready for the 1-2 pitch with 1 out. And a 1-2 count to Craig. Outside, ball 2. Count's now even. 2 balls, 2 strikes for Tanner Craig. 1 out, 1 on. The pitch. Sent out towards left, but foul. Craig just hooked that one into the left field foul tent. Would have been an exciting play. Evansville potentially grabbed the lead. The count is even at 2 balls, 2 strikes for Tanner Craig. Stays outside, ball 3. The 3-2 for Tanner Craig with 1 out and 1 on. Outside, ball 4, a hard-earned walk for the rookie. That's what Evansville needed.
That's a Gearhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar.
With it, there's runners at first and second, and a pitching change going to be necessary for Windy City. We take a break, and on the other side, let you know who the new man is in for the T-Bolts. Otters with a chance to grab themselves what could be a game-winning run. Don't go anywhere. The resumption of the 8th coming up next.
This call to Wolfen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. The new catcher battery, number 29, Lane Fitzpatrick on the mound. Number 8, Matt Morgan behind the plate. This catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Freedom Road, or call 812-475-9000.
New pitcher in the game for Windy City is their closer, Lane Schnitz-Paxton. They're going to ask to keep Evansville off the board and a chance for, right now, the Otters to potentially grab what could be their game-winning run. For Schnitz-Paxton, continues what has been a really great year for him so far. 1.26 ERA. Ranks near the best when it comes to closing pitchers. It's called the Bullpen, presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Paxton on the mound, Morgan behind the plate. The pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000.
The catcher, number 46, Brody Tanksley.
So the catcher, Brody Tanksley, heading to the plate with a man on first and second, just 1 out. A chance for the Tank to give Evansville one of the biggest runs they've had in weeks. The first pitch to Brody Tanksley from Lane Schnitz-Paxton. 1 out and runners at first and second. Swung on and missed for strike 1 on the inside edge. Craig's on first, Gordon on second. Sorry, no, McNamee on second. Have the numbers mixed up here. 0-1 to Tanksley. Well inside to even the count at 1-1. Logan Sawyer looks ready to come into the game out in the right field pen for Evansville if he was needed. The 1-1 to Tanksley. Pushed out towards center. Chasing back is Robertson. Back shy of the warning track. That'll advance McNamee to third. The Otters have runners at first and third with 2 outs. So it is a still helpful at bat for Brody Tanksley. And the entire bullpen will get over there to welcome him back into the bullpen here. The dugout here.
The shortstop,
George Khalil now, the Australian shortstop. Runners at the corners and 2 outs. We're tied at 5 runs apiece here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. The first pitch to George Khalil. Taken for a called strike on the inside half. Schmitz Paxton taking his time up on the bump. As the 0-1 comes home to Khalil. He thinks about going around, and it's a called strike 2. Khalil shakes his head, either in frustration or disagreement, as now the pressure is on. The 0-2 to Khalil. Well inside, ball 1. The runner at first is Tanner Craig. At third, Elijah McNamee. One-two count to George Khalil with 2 outs at the bottom of the 8th. The 1-2 to Khalil. Swinging strike 3, and Windy City gets out of the inning without allowing anything else. We head to the 9th inning, tied 5-5. Don't go anywhere. 9th inning coming at you next. Top of the 9th, and Evansville's evened this game at 5 runs apiece. It all comes down to this 9th inning. Jacob Bowles will hit the mound to start things off here in the 9th. Evansville's off to Washington after this one. Those are Eastern times, by the way, in those first 3, 7:05 Eastern, 6:05 here, which means it's a 4:35 first start here in Evansville on Sunday. Those games at Washington, and the team's right back at home Tuesday night to face off with the Juliet Slammers.
Leading off the top of the
So like I said, we have Jacob Bowles staying in the mound here to start the 9th inning. Leading off the half inning, Matt Morgan. First pitch home to Morgan. Left alone for a called strike 1 on the low inside corner. Morgan's 0 for 2, a walk and 2 flyouts. Swinging strike 2. The 0-2 outside and a good stop from Tanksley. One, two, the count towards Matt Morgan. Push down the right field side, but well foul.
Overhead foul ball brought to you by Hans Construction. Choose the best and never regret it.
The 1-2 is sent bouncing towards Bowles. It's over his head, picked up by Khalil. The throw to first, low, and it gets away from Bierman. Works towards to the right side, but Tanksley was there to help out. Just a high bouncer is going to allow the man to reach. And Morgan will get himself a leadoff single here in the ninth.
The shortstop, number 11, Cole Kaler.
Unfortunately for Khalil, he had to make a really tough play in a very short amount of time. Small lead for Morgan at first as Cole Kaler heads to the plate. First pitch to Cole Kaler. A little bit outside, ball 1. Whenever we get to the bottom of the ninth, no matter what the score is, we will see Armstrong, Gordon, and Rosario due up. Keep in mind, Gordon already has a couple of bottom of the ninth home runs here at Bosse Field this year. Both of them were game-tying home runs. The 1-0 to Kaler. A half swing, and they say it's a called strike. Doesn't matter if he held the swing up or not. Big lead now for Matt Morgan over there at first. He's all the way to the cutout. Bowles will fire home on the 1-1. It's a shown bunt. Only way at the last second is Kaler, though, for ball 2. Elsewhere around the league, they're in the top of the ninth at Lake Erie, and Schaumburg trails 8-3. Washington did get a 3-2 win against Florence, and they are still scoreless between Gateway and Joliet in the bottom of the ninth inning. Throw over to first, and back in time is Matt Morgan. A throw over to first yet again, and Morgan is still back in time. Bowles takes his time before firing home on the 2-1 pitch. It's outside, ball 3. And Windy City has a chance to have their first 2 leadoff men on here at the top of the ninth. A deep breath from Bowles as the 3-1 pitch comes home. It's sent grounded towards Armstrong. He plays it to second for 1. There will not be a play over at first, as it did take a little bit for Armstrong to get the first man. They get the leadoff runner. That's the important one. 4-6, the official fielder's choice that allows Kaler to reach.
The second baseman, number 27, Jalen Greer.
So now the 9-hole hitter, Jalen Greer, who's 1 for 3 on the game, has a chance to keep this top of the 9th going for Windy City. First pitch to Greer, and it's foul tipped into the helmet of Tanksley, back towards the backstop for strike 1. A check over at first, and back in time is Cole Kaler. Pitch just works to the outside edge, catches the zone for a called strike 2 on Greer. Oh, 2 count to Jalen Greer. Outside ball 1. Tanksley does well to make sure it stays in front of him. Again, we take a second to reset. The throw over to first. Kaler's back in time. By the way, they are heading to a 10th inning at Joliet. Gateway and Joliet still scoreless in that game. Pivotal game between the two, right there in the middle of the midfield hunt. 1-2 to Greer. Outside, our count's evened up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Also, we do have a final from Lake Erie. The Crushers get an 8-3 win against Schaumburg. So if Evansville can find themselves a win in this game, they are even for the second place spot in the West Division once again. A 2-2 count to Greer. Fouled off his foot, and he'll live to see another pitch. Elsewhere around the league, Sussex County finished out a doubleheader with an 8-2 win against Empire State. They swept the 2-game set. New Jersey rallied from behind to defeat New York 6-4, and Quebec won 7-2 at Trois-Rivières. 2-2 to Greer. Foul tipped into the backstop and then bounces all the way out towards first. Count remains at 2-2. So that means there is just the 2 games left going on in the Frontier League tonight. Ours here in Evansville and Gateway and Joliet. Playing at that beautiful ballpark in the outskirts of Chicago. The 2-2 pitch home. Hit towards Khalil at short. He'll play to second for 1. The relay to first. Not in time. They call him safe at first. And out come the Otters coaching staff, especially Andy McCauley. He's the one who will run out and argue that one. It looked like the Otters had him by a mile on the 6-4-3 double play. Instead, it is announced a safe play at first and given Windy City a chance to extend the half inning. Andy McCauley still having his thoughts heard over at first. And he'll talk all the way back towards the dugout, rightfully so. It's a play that looked pretty one-sided from up here. Maybe it looked different down there on the field. Of course, we can't speak for how the umpires see it down there. But again, it results in a 6-4 fielder's choice. Allows a man to reach. Gets the man on his way to second. And now Max Peterson will go out and have a talk with Jacob Bowles. He's going to go to his closer. We will see Logan Sawyer enter this game to grab 1 out here in the 8th. Potentially take us to the 9th. We're tied at 5 runs apiece. You're on the Otters Digital Network. Don't go anywhere. So before we can finish off this top of the ninth inning, Logan Sawyer is going to enter this game and try to help grab out number 3 after the close bang-bang play at first that was called safe. Otters had their coaches' voices heard as they disagreed, and it forces the hand of Max Peterson to go ahead and bring in his closer a little bit too early. Logan Sawyer enters the game, 26th appearance on the year for him. He has a Frontier League leading 19 saves. Although right now is not a save opportunity, it's a chance for Evansville to close the door, potentially win it, at the bottom of the ninth inning. This call to the bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Sawyer on the mound, Tanksley behind the plate, that pitcher catcher battery. Sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. We'll call it 812-475-9000. We go back to the top of the order where Brian Klein steps to the plate. He's 1 for 4 on the day and only has 2 hits in the entire series. Sawyer with a glance over towards first. Sets the fire home to Brian Klein. It's a called strike on the outside edge. Jalen Greer is the man standing out there on first. Greer's 0 for 2 in stolen base attempts this year. 0-1 to Klein. Swinging strike 2. Klein chased that one way up in the zone. Lost his footing underneath him. Oh, 2 count to Brian Klein. A runner on first and 2 outs. Logan Sawyer trying to slam the door on Windy City. The 0-2 pitch to Klein. Launched out towards left. Baez going back towards the warning track, and there's out number 3. To the bottom of the ninth we go, tied at 5. Evansville with a chance to win it. Don't go anywhere. The conclusion is next. Bottom of the ninth, tied at 5 runs apiece, and Evansville has a chance to walk this one off. Boy, would this really fill up the engines before a 3-game set at Washington. Armstrong, Gordon, Rosario due up in the half inning. We know Gordon has been a hero in the bottom of the ninth before this season. 2 solo home runs to his name here at this ballpark in the bottom of the ninth earlier this season. First, Andy Armstrong. They're all going to come up against Lane Schnitz-Paxton, the closer for this Windy City squad. Armstrong ready for his first pitch of this at-bat in the bottom of the ninth. It comes home. Zooms it to left. My goodness, he crushed that ball, but it was foul. Was just ahead of it. If you missed the announcement earlier, 6,035 fans. The second sellout of the season here in Evansville. Boy, would this place erupt. The Otters can find a way to bring home the game-winning run. 0-1 pitch to Andy Armstrong. Takes that one for ball one. And Schnitz-Paxton will take an extra second to regroup before stepping back up. The 1-1. Armstrong is a little bit ahead of that one and is able to pull it a little bit foul just to keep himself alive in the count. But he is back 1-2 now. In the game, Andy Armstrong is 0 for 2. Did reach on a walk. The 1-2. Armstrong's again ahead of that one and again fouls it off to the left side. Keeps himself alive. Bases are empty for Armstrong as he's the leadoff man in the ninth. He's got a 1-2 count from Lane Schnitz-Paxton. And the 1-2 heads home. Right back up the middle towards the second baseman, Greer. He will play it over to first for out number 1. So back to the top of the order we go.
Back to the top of the order with the Edward Jones.
Miles Gordon
Batter of the game. The center fielder,
makes his way to the
number
plate.
6, Miles Gordon.
Miles Gordon, 1 for 4 on the day, had a single in the fifth, has a couple strikeouts to his name. It's a lefty-righty matchup with the left-handed hitter Miles Gordon digging in now. First pitch to Miles Gordon. Big curveball, stays high, ball 1. Count at 1-0 for Miles Gordon. 1 out, nobody on. Ball sent high out towards shallow left. It's actually the third baseman Klein who's playing it in foul territory, and it falls out of his glove. So Miles Gordon will get to head back home with another chance with the bat in his hands. A gift handed to Miles Gordon. He'll take his time walking back towards home plate, give himself some extra time to calm the breathing down, I'm sure. Gordon hitting with no batting gloves right now. Tied at 5. Bottom of the ninth. There's 1 out, nobody on. Miles Gordon trying to walk this game off for Evansville, or at least help Evansville get a little bit closer to doing just that. The 1-1 pitch home to the center fielder, Miles Gordon. Hit sharply to the foul side of first base. Will end up near the Otters bullpen. Gordon digs back in, now behind in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Zooms one out towards right, chasing it is Martinez. It drops in front of him for a base hit. Evansville has the game-winning runner on first. And with it, the designated hitter, Bryan Rosario, striding in. Another lefty.
Number 13, Bryan Rosario.
It's one of the great things about Bryan Rosario. He is a switch hitter that enables him to have the mismatches he wants. When it is a righty, he can hit lefty against him. Runner on first is Gordon. There's one out. And Bryn Rosario stepping in for his first pitch of this huge at-bat. First pitch home to Bryn Rosario. There goes Gordon towards second. A delay in the throw is going to be way late because of the double pump from the catcher, Matt Morgan. Stolen base for Miles Gordon. Has the game-winning run 180 feet away. One ball, no strikes to Bryn Rosario. There's one out, game-winning run at second. The 1-0 pitch to Rosario. Called strike on the outside. That's a big strike to get for Lane Schnitz-Paxton. Gordon stands with a small lead off second. Rosario's at the plate, one out and a 1-1 count. Pitch on the way, bounces in, a great stop by Morgan to keep it in front of him. Our count goes to 2-1. That is potentially a game-saving block for Matt Morgan. Bryn Rosario on the day, 1 for 3. Singled in the fourth, came around to score on the error from right fielder Martinez, and then had a RBI walk in the fifth. The 2-1 opportunity here. Swung on and missed, and the count evens 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wonderful crowd on hand tonight. Second sellout of the season for Evansville. The Otters would love to give them a victory to drive home 2. Schnitz-Paxton says no to 2 or 3 pitches before Rosario decides to call time and reset everyone. Two balls, 2 strikes to Bryn Rosario. Gordon stands with a leadoff second with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th inning. 2-2 to Rosario. It's foul tipped back into the netting, and good work from him to keep himself alive in the count. Rosario plenty happy to take his time stepping back in. Probably the biggest at-bat he's had since joining Evansville. 2-2 counts. 1 out and a runner on second here in the bottom of the 9th inning, tied at 5. Rosario watches it stay low for ball 3, shakes his head right away as he knew that was ball 3. And we have got ourselves a full count. Three-two count for Rosario. A runner at second that could win the game. The pitch comes home. It's outside, ball 4. And the Otters have men at first and second with Zach Bierman heading to the plate.
That's a Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar.
Morgan making his way out to chat with his pitcher, Schnitz-Paxton. As Zach Bierman, the lefty, is ready to go at the plate.
The first baseman, number 45, Zach Bierman.
The runner at first is Bryn Rosario. He reached on the walk. The runner at second is Miles Gordon. He reached on his single. First pitch home to Zach Bierman. Works inside. Looked like it hit him. But Gordon is going to get himself to third. It must not have hit him as there's now runners on the corners, and the game-winning run is just 90 feet away. A sacrifice fly could win the game for Evansville now. One out to Zach Bierman. Winning run stands 90 feet away. Pitch on the way. It's just about outside, and Rosario's going to get himself second as they decide to not even look at him go out there. Gordon reached third on the pass ball. Rosario just reached on the play that they just let him go to second. And Bierman has a 2-0 advantage. Takes a called strike on that outside edge. Even a sac fly could win the game now for Evansville. 2-1 count to Zach Bierman. With runners at second and third and one out. It's taken on the outside for ball 3. Otters looking for a potential huge victory that could take them into their series at Washington. The 3-1 pitch to Zach Bierman. High, ball 4. The bases are loaded with one out. And it all comes down to this. Jeffrey Baez heading to the plate with the bases loaded and one out. Just about anything could win the game for the Otters now. We're tied at 5 runs apiece in the bottom of the 9th inning. These are the scenarios where you have to strike if you're Evansville. You've been handed an opportunity on a silver platter. Bases loaded, one out. The pitch to Baez. Swinging, strike 1. And you can just feel the tension in this ballpark. I mean, you can feel that every person here on the edge of their seats, a sellout crowd tonight, trying to egg on these Otters to a win here in the series finale. Bases loaded, one out, and an 0-1 pitch to Jeffrey Baez. Hit weakly in the infield. The play towards home. Is it in time? No, it's not. It gets away from the catcher Morgan, and the Otters win this one. (6-5) Evansville wins on an infield single from Jeffrey Baez.
The Otters are a winner.
It's the second walk-off win of the season, and it's the second straight game where they come back from a 4-run deficit to win a ball game. I mean, they have not come back from a 4-game deficit all season. They've done it in back-to-back nights and picked up one of the biggest emotional victories of this entire season. They get the series win against this Windy City squad, and now get ready to hop on the bus for an overnight ride to Washington, where they've got to win games to get themselves back in a controlling situation. There's 2 really great pieces of information that happened tonight. Evansville gets the win. Schaumburg has a loss, so the Otters are now tied for second in the West Division. They've put themselves right back in the conversation to get themselves not only in the playoffs, but control their own destiny, potentially even have a postseason game. We have to go all the way back to the 4th inning to find the scoring that started in this game. In the 4th, Windy City started the game with a RBI single from Brent Martinez. He was the big man in this game. Right back at him, said the Otters. They scored 2 in the 4th on an RBI single from Baez, and then first an error that allowed Rosario to reach or to score. Then Baez scored one more run on an RBI fielder's choice. Then we went into the fifth inning, and in that one, that's when we saw again Brent Spillane be the big man in the game. A grand slam put up Windy City 5-1, and at that point it felt like, oh no, it's the same thing we've seen all the last maybe month or so. Otters have themselves a chance to be ahead in the game, control the pace of the game, and then give up that grand slam, and everyone kind of sits back and goes, oh no, what next? But in the bottom of the fifth, Evansville grabs 2 runs and brings themselves to within 1, put themselves at striking distance. That came on a wild pitch that scored Cleo and an RBI walk for Brian Rosario. We stayed at that 5-4 advantage for Windy City into the 8th inning when Evansville found the run column again on an Elijah McNamee RBI single, tied our game at 5 runs apiece. Then in the 9th, we had to have the bases loaded with 1 out before Jeffrey Baez was finally able to get an RBI single on the infield that scored Gordon from third. And Evansville is winners in a huge, pivotal game here at home. They win the series against Windy City and now have a ton of good momentum as they head to Washington for a 3-game set against the Wild Things. We'll take another check-in at Joliet, where Gateway and Joliet were in the 10th inning. The Slammers did get a win in the bottom of the 10th inning, so Joliet will also move up to within 1 game now of second place as Washington got their win. So Schaumburg and Evansville tied at 10.5 back in second place. Joliet 11.5 back in third, or in fourth technically. Boy, has this gotten very tight and very critical down the stretch. We have 15 games left for Evansville and for most of the rest of the teams in this league. We're to a point in the season where Evansville can't have those games where they leave 10, 12 men on. Tonight was an opportunity where they had opportunities to score. They found those chances, capitalized on them, and now are winners of 2 straight games, a 6-5 walk-off win, courtesy of a Jeffrey Baez infield RBI single with the bases loaded. Evansville wins this one. Logan Sawyer gets the win, his first of the season. Lane Schnitz-Paxton is the one who receives the loss. He's the one up there on the mound when that final run happens. Otters return home on Tuesday when they face off against Joliet, but they continue the regular season tomorrow night at Washington. 7:05 local time first pitch at 6:05 here in Evansville. You can catch the game for free with our audio-only stream on the Evansville Otters YouTube page. I'll have every pitch available for you starting just before 6 o'clock here in Evansville. It's been a great 3-game set here at home. The Otters were able to get a victory in. We're glad you've joined us. And for all of us here at the Evansville Otters, I'm Matthew Wills saying thanks for tuning in and so long. Beautiful, historic Bossy Field. Evansville, 6-5 winners via walk-off. We'll talk to you tomorrow night as the Otters are in Washington for a huge 3-game set against the Wild Things.